Blustery showers with the odd thundery downpour possible. Top temperatures of 8 to 12 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
You're welcome back to Saturday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you till 6 o'clock this evening. But for the next couple of hours, as always, delighted to have Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward alongside me. How are we, lads?
Good. How are you getting on?
And Kevin Kilbane has emerged from wherever he's been for the past week. I don't want to ask too many questions in case we get an Owen Sheehan type scenario. You from our big screen. Can somebody move our screen around in here in studio so we can see where he is?
Where have you been, Kev?
Could be anywhere.
I don't know, Johnny. Keep me head down, Johnny, you know.
Yeah. Well, I will say one thing. If anybody has seen we've mentioned it, if you haven't seen the Owen Sheehan video, just go on to pretty much anybody from Off the Ball's Twitter and you will see Owen Sheehan. What time of the morning do you think Owen Sheehan was accosted by the television crew in Nashville on Thursday night?
I'd say Johnny Ward o'clock. That's what I would say.
I don't know, like he could have been 10:30 or something, like, you know.
He could have started early.
Yeah.
Anyways, Owen had one or two. By the time.
Yeah.
Yet he didn't lose his newfound TV mojo.
No.
He knew where the camera was. There was some beautiful looks to camera at several stages during it. But I was just thinking, what could go wrong next weekend when half of Mayo are in New York for the Connacht Championship, and if CNN are walking around Times Square and run into Kevin Kilbane late at night? What might happen?
That man's a magnet for the microphones as well.
Well, this is the thing.
Kev would be like, I actually recognise that cameraman from a gig I did around there.
I'll just give you a little bit of analysis.
I was like,
who do I send the invoice to?
Johnny, it's still working for Premier League TV. No, BBC, is it? No,
that's a good point. Would you be recognisable in America, Kevin, from your work with Premier League Productions?
Not at all. I was doing the game today, as you know, Nathan. But no, I doubt that very much.
Oh, you'll be there walking around Times Square, a couple of words. People are going, I recognise that voice.
Is that Robbie Mustoe? No, it's not Robbie Mustoe.
Is it Tim Howard? It's definitely not Tim Howard.
That's Kilbane. Yeah.
It is Kilbane. We're live at all our social channels if you want to watch the lads who all look in reasonable shape for once this afternoon, which is
right now.
It's good to know.
I haven't talked to Johnny yet about his state today.
Okay. We're going to be talking about the title race because Liverpool are back on top after their 5-0 win over Huddersfield last night. City go to Burnley in our first of 2 live Premier League games tomorrow. There's 4 games underway. We've reporters at all those matches. And we have a title race in the League of Ireland as well.
Do we?
Can you believe it? We have a title race in the League of Ireland as well because just a fortnight ago it looked as though it was all over. Isn't that right, Johnny?
It's game over.
It's game over for the league.
It's game over for the league, yeah. Shamrock Rovers are basically, they just have to get through the rest of the season now, all 75% of it or whatever. It's game over.
Now he's given a penalty, it was a handball. And Lee Grace could be in real trouble here because he was booked earlier and Rovers are down to 9 men. Lee Grace has been sent off, but it's rebounded to Corcoran and he's found the net to give Bowes the opener.
Yes, Shamrock Rovers are basically, they just have to get through the rest of the season now.
Dangerous delivery towards the spot, it's in. And it's Pat Hooven, who else? It's Dundalk 1, Shamrock Rovers 0.
It's game over.
Chance for 2-0, it's there! What a fantastic goal from Dundalk. And what an excellent goal from Michael Duffy.
Yeah, Shamrock Rovers are basically, they just have to get through the rest of the season now.
And there is the final whistle at Oriel Park, and it is Dundalk who have taken the 3 points and have moved back up the table onto 27 points within 4 of Shamrock Rovers with the game in hand. Vinnie Pert's men have done the business.
It's game over. It's game over. It's game over. That was very embarrassing.
Oh, God. I spent a good 2 hours this morning putting that together.
Yeah.
It was worth every second.
There was a lot of people asking for Johnny in Dundalk last night.
Oh, was it? You were in Oriel Park then?
I was in Oriel last night. Pretty much every second person was like, where's your man? What's the story? Where is he? Where is he tonight? Yeah.
Can I share a private conversation I have with Johnny? Am I allowed to share a private
go for it.
conversation?
Absolutely.
Johnny?
Oh, that's a sticky territory, Kev.
Nothing major. Johnny's got a great knowledge of the League of Ireland. So I had a chat with him a couple of weeks ago. We went to the Pats game a couple of weeks ago. And I said to Johnny, I said, what about the first division? I said, Longford going well, got a great chance. I said, you know what, I fancy Shells. I think Shells are going to come good. They're good. No. When he didn't say no chance, he said no. Longford, good bet, good chance, really good chance, Longford. too inconsistent, Shells. So his knowledge of the League of Ireland's deteriorating by the day, isn't it? That's what it is.
Well, just to clarify there, I put Longford up at 20-1 to win the First Division, and they're pretty much top if they win tonight. So anyone, and they're going to even...
I'm not saying they're going to, but you pretty much ruled Shells out, Johnny. That's what you said to me.
That conversation you had simply did not happen.
I am telling you,
categorically deny. On mature reflection, that did not happen.
The conversation where you said that the league was essentially done, however, did happen live on the radio. And the bizarre thing, an incredible thing with this is you think, well, how long ago did he say this? Where there's been such a turnaround. It was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago.
Just to point out the things that have actually gone against Shamrock Rovers. Are you talking about league race, right? The league race has changed because of league race getting sent off, and also got that in there.
Boom.
Dundalk, one shot on target against Bows a couple of weeks ago.
Clickbait, Johnny.
Got a penalty 3 minutes into injury time. There probably wasn't a penalty, and ever since then, things have gone against Shamrock Rovers again. The decisions went badly against them the other night, but last night Dundalk were by far the better team.
You see, it's so early in the season. I'd say you've simultaneously pissed off pretty much everybody at Shamrock Rovers, because the last thing they want is people going on the radio saying the league is done. They can only blow it from here. And you certainly annoyed an awful lot of people up at Dundalk.
They were 13 clear, weren't they?
Two games more played.
If we put that montage together earlier in the week, they could have played that in the dressing room up at Oriel Park last night for Dundalk to motivate them.
I think they're aware of what was said anyway, to be fair, from the volume of comments I got last night.
But
it said, it's a shame they had to get those 3 points last night when the league race is already over. It's all in vain, obviously, now at this stage, because Johnny declared it over.
So 4 points, a game in hand, but that game in hand is against Bohemians.
Oh, so it's a tough game in hand. Yeah.
But just one thing though on this, Rovers have suddenly, I didn't really appreciate this, Rovers do not have at all the squad depth that we would have thought they had. It's become very apparent that they have a few injuries and suspensions.
You should have realised this when you were telling people it was game over.
I still think Rovers will win the league, but Bows, for all their problems in terms of budget, seem to have much more cover than Rovers, who should have a far bigger budget. So it's a strange one. They played a 16-year-old kid left back against Dundalk last night, who didn't do badly, but it was quite striking that a 16-year-old kid was thrown into action in a game of that magnitude because they didn't have anyone else.
The league,
and they had Ronan Finn right back as well.
It's been a very good week for the league, it seems, with the amount of coverage of the Dublin Derby, and again then having Rovers Dundalk on television last night. Good quality game.
It was entertaining last night. I mean, sometimes with the pitch up in Oriel, it's never free flowing maybe in the way you would like, but it was real after the first sort of. Rovers were good early on, it must be said. Like Jack Byrne was very good early on, and Rovers were impressive. The first 15-20 minutes you're thinking, Jesus, they can cope with a lot of things.
Didn't create much though.
But exactly. And then Dundalk really turned it on. And then the thing is, you do watch Dundalk in full flight and you remember how good they can be when they click. And this was the 1 year where they lost the manager, but they didn't lose any of their main players. And with all the main players back, barely with the exception of Benson, you just realise, actually, you look at Gannon, Michael Duffy, you forget how good Michael Duffy was last year, and you saw him in full flight and you're thinking they are still a benchmark,
Dan, can I ask you about Michael Duffy there as well? Mick McCarthy spoke about him recently as well, or certainly when he was first appointed. Do you think he's got a chance with the form that he's in? I mean, I haven't seen much of Dundalk, I haven't seen anything of Dundalk this season live, so what about Michael Duffy?
Well, the thing about it is that Mick actually hasn't seen Dundalk yet, as far as I know. But Robbie Keane did go up and watch the game last night, and that probably would have been the best you would have seen of Michael Duffy this season.
He was marking a central midfielder.
I was going to say he was up against the midfielder, so maybe that's a bit misleading. I don't know. I mean, like he would have been capped under Martin O'Neill, I think, because I think he really liked his energy, and he's a super fit player, and he really will cover a lot of ground. He's still going to be behind O'Dowda, he's going to be behind McLean. I'm trying to think of other wide options and the way that Mick will play. He's talked about playing Robbie Brady even as a wide option. Yeah. So he's got a job to do. I don't know. The fact he's gone through the whole transfer process and stuff, it would be harsh if he didn't get a chance to come in and at least train and get a chance to come in the summer and have some involvement.
Before you come in, there's been a goal at St Mary's. Southampton against Bournemouth. Peter Hood.
Southampton 1, Bournemouth 0. Shane Long's at it again. He's opened the scoring on 12 minutes. Redmond's cross, and there was Long to side foot home from no more than 10 yards out. Southampton 1, Bournemouth 0.
Shane Long.
This is great. It's
on fire.
It's really great news. And he's just gotten. He needed confidence. He needed his confidence back. But he's definitely back in the picture, Kev. Now he looks the bits I've seen of him anyway. He looks like his love of the game is back. He expects to score now, whereas he probably expected to miss.
But he's always been quite streaky though. There's been
streaky, and then there's like 2 goals in 80 games.
Well, I know. I mean, but that's the thing. But that's almost the other extreme of the streak. It's like when he has had good goal scoring spells, they tend to come in patches, and rather than necessarily spread across the season.
Well, it's 4 and 5 games now.
Yeah.
Obviously coming at a good time with the trip to Denmark. Mind you, it is still...
Yeah, but do you know what as well, though, Nathan?
6 weeks away?
Yeah, it's a while away.
Nathan, you know what, Nathan? I mean, he's probably not as... I would probably say he's maybe not as technically gifted as a Sean Maguire. I think maybe he's got different attributes. Certainly not a David McGoldrick, but his attributes are totally different from anything that the team has. Certainly now, if you're looking at it, the squad when he pulled out the last squad, there's no one with his pace, there's no one with his power, there's certainly no one with or no one that's played at the level that he's played at consistently over 10 years. So he is going to bring something to the squad, without a doubt he is.
That's the thing as well. He's so different to McGoldrick, and we're going to need to change it up in these big games because if McGoldrick is going to start in the third game, he's a great option, and he should have scored against Liverpool as well. The much vaunted Liverpool defence. He had a great chance against Liverpool.
He did. Yeah,
he wrenched it wide.
He did score against Liverpool. He should have scored 2 against Liverpool.
Absolutely. The side foot at what was in the first half, whatever. But it's very encouraging, and McGoldrick's finishing the season in absolutely excellent form as well.
Well, more that option off the bench. Actually, it'd be a surprise if Dave McGoldrick didn't start.
I was just going to say,
with 20 minutes left.
Like if you're going to Denmark away, and even we saw against Georgia how McGoldrick played, I think the fear would be sometimes with Long as the lone striker that can he hold the ball up well enough for a team, and it depends what we want in Denmark. Sometimes if you're under pressure, Long is great as that outlet, as that release, because that just pace he has. But I'd still be surprised if he started, I have to say. But then there's a lot of variables here. There's a lot of injuries and a lot of sort of end of season stuff to get through.
Playoffs potentially, and
but it's unlikely when you see McGoldrick that he completes games anyway. So it's an option to the end of the season if he continues with the form that he's in. And with it, Dan, he's done it at West Brom, he's done it at Hull, he's done it at Reading. When he's hit this sort of patch, he can't stop scoring. So I think we're hopeful now ahead of these games in the summer that he'll continue it. And there's no reason to suggest that he won't. But and looking at him coming off the bench, I seem to remember, I mean, I don't know games off the top of my head now, just thinking of the game, but when I've watched the Irish side playing in the last few years, when you're expecting Shane Long to start a game and he's not quite started and he's come off the bench, he's actually played with a bit of a point to prove to Martin O'Neill. Things come into my head, like little things where he's looked more aggressive. When he started games, he's not been that aggressive self, which does happen in a player's mindset. It's almost if you're playing in spite of the manager. You want to try to show him that you should have started him. I'm good enough to play in your side. I've got enough caps under my belt, and for you to leave me out, it's maybe a little bit of disrespect towards me. I think Shane Long maybe will be feeling that if he hasn't been playing games. So I think if he were to be left out and he were to come off the bench, I think there will be maybe a sign to Mick McCarthy. I'm good enough to start in this team.
We'll have a lot of time to build up to the Denmark game over the next 5 or 6 weeks. But from your experience of being in a Mick McCarthy squad, what sort of attitude do you think he brings to that trip to Denmark? Is it, okay, we're going up against an opposition that have ripped these players to shreds over the last couple of years, and you sit back, you defend, you hold, and maybe you bring on somebody like Shane Long with 20 minutes left and try and nick a goal? Or do you think he goes with that high press that we saw against Georgia, pushes players far up the pitch, goes with a good intensity, and potentially you're leaving yourself a little bit more open?
No, without sitting on the fence a little bit here with it, but there will be an element of both. He certainly will not want his side sitting in for 90 minutes, and he will constantly relay that message to the players that, look, you have to have an element of the mindset. We're going to have to sit in. We might not necessarily see both fullbacks playing high and wide, seriously going pressing and getting in overlap positions. But I think there will be elements in that game, and I'm sure that'll be the message to the side, is we're going to have to go and press them. Because, I mean, Nath, you and I have seen them. We were over there. We've all seen them. You two lads as well sat alongside me. I still don't rate Denmark as highly as others do. To beat us 5-1 at the Aviva was never a true reflection of that Danish side.
This is the thing, though, Kev. It's Denmark without Eriksson are fairly. The thing for Mick is, how do we handle Eriksson? That's going to be one of his biggest challenges, basically, in terms of any sort of tactics. It's like, right, Eriksson is number one priority. What are we going to do with him? Because otherwise, if we nullify Eriksson, we've every chance of getting a result.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree, and that proved that way in the Nations League as well. Again, probably somewhat, certainly an off-tempo Danish performance in those two games as well. But yeah, I agree, Johnny. I think sometimes you have to make special sacrifices for certain players, and he's a special player. We know that. So even watching him today in this game here, Johnny, he was out of the game for long spells, but if Tottenham were going to get anything out of this game today, it had to come through Eriksen. Even with these brilliant players that the Tottenham side have, it comes through Eriksen. And he is a brilliant player. He's world class. So I do think you have to make special exceptions for him. There might be a message to whoever it would be, Glenn Whelan, whoever it's going to be that's sat in the middle of that pot. Look, lock onto him. Whenever we're out of possession of the ball, lock onto him. Even when we're in possession of the ball, just be mindful that you can't get yourself too far away. Don't become too far attached from Eriksen. Just get it in your head that you might need to go and lock onto him. Whenever they're in possession, go and stop him. And it might be a bit negative mindset, but that's what it has to be at times to get a result.
I thought that was really kind of the point Kev was making there, the threat he has at all moments in the Man City game last Saturday, where he collected the ball sort of midway through his own half with nothing on his left foot and put this ball in for a song that was is one of the best passes you'll ever see without even looking, and it was he has just that quality to do that at any moment.
But I guess the thing that Mick McCarthy be looking at is he has that quality. There's nothing you can really do to stop that, but also you don't want what happened at the Aviva where Ireland basically so you think you put Glenn Whelan on him and he can stop him for 90 minutes?
No, I'm not saying that, but there's an element to stop him. Like, say, today when you're watching Eriksen, saying I thought West Ham sat off him a little bit too deep, never put any pressure on him. There's got to be an element where you just have to go and stop him, rather than drop off as we have done in the past when we played against Eriksen, to deny spacing behind and say, well, I'll tell you what, he's not going to be able to pick that pass in behind me. He'll take shots on. He'll take pot shots from distance. That in turn could cause a save. That in turn could cause a set piece that could open us up. So I'm not saying you can. Yeah, you're right in that respect, but there has to come a time, or there has to be an element of in every player's mind that's around him. Go and stop him. Get straight out and get in his face, rather than actually say we drop off him and allow him the space to hurt us and cut us open. I think that's got to be. If it's not Glenn Whelan that's actually locking onto him, it might be someone that's closer to him. Just go and stop him. Get it in your mindset before the game. He's the danger. If you stop him, you're going to have a much better chance of winning this game. I'm not saying it's not the rule, but you're going to have a better chance of beating Denmark if you stop him.
First text in is pretty much straight to the point. Johnny Ward is a plonker. League over. Rovers to win. Idiot, says Jay from Roscommon. Your neighbours. I would have thought the people in the West stick by you, Johnny, but unfortunately not today.
Won't be buying them a pint in Rockford.
53106 is the text number. You can leave a comment on any of our social channels. There's been another goal at St Mary, Southampton, Bournemouth. Peter Hood.
Southampton 1, Bournemouth 1. Dan Gosling has equalised for Bournemouth against the run of play. It had all been Southampton, but a breakaway saw Gosling, fed by Callum Wilson, slot the ball beyond Angus Gunn, and it's Southampton 1, Bournemouth 1.
You can't let Johnny off the hook. Wait. Well done, lads. Come on, the town.
Yeah, over 4,000 at the game last night as well.
There's nothing to do with the question.
At least half of which cursed Johnny Ward. Yeah. If they could get an anti-Johnny Ward chant going.
None of this would have happened. If Bowes had gotten a 0-0 draw, which they probably deserved in Oriel, this conversation would not be happening. You're talking about very fine margins here, and Rovers, I still believe Rovers will win the league.
But we all know that when it's a long season, things happen. That's why you don't commit a third of the way into the season to saying it's done.
Well, then take me off the show, which would be, the guy in Roscommon would be like, just to turn this disaster into a positive for me.
Johnny, don't spit your dummy out, Johnny. Just take it on the chin.
How many people did you say were at the game? Because I heard there was a big crowd.
150,000 people here tonight. 150,000 people.
It's great that there's someone from Roscommon taking notice. And one thing I was told this week, which was great, Fergal Kieran, who used to be the Dundalk physio, is now the Leinster physio, and he came into work for Leinster on Wednesday morning, and he said all the talk is about Rovers Dundalk Rovers and Bows in the Leinster camp. So
good.
I think the League of Ireland is in a great place, even if I amn't.
Interesting text. I'm not sure if Tom O'Brien in Tralee meant it to be this interesting, or whether he's fully sure that everything in this is factually correct. But he says, lads, what about Shane Long? I'm playing at a dinner gala for the opening of the new Castle Island pitches. There's a match between Castle Island legends versus Irish legends at 3:00. Question and answer session with the Irish legends after the dinner. John Delaney, Paul McGrath, Ray Houghton, Ronnie Whelan and more are coming. Big shout out to my band, Comic Book Heroes from Tralee, playing at this tonight. I'm also DJing, so he's doubling up.
This is the mother of all welcomes occasion, isn't it?
The question,
Going to play Shane Long's on Fire. Looking forward to it now.
Well, that event has been flagged for some time. And obviously, one of the talking points has been if John Delaney will show up. Maybe he will. He'll get the mother of all welcomes then. There.
I thought that the FAI had said that he won't be there as an official FAI representative.
Well, this event this evening. I'm not sure what the scenario is with the event this evening.
Well, Tom O'Brien will keep us updated.
Tom, keep us tuned and see how all the Ireland legends are getting on. But,
Kev wasn't invited, unfortunately.
Well, it's a shame.
I'm not part of the football family anymore, man.
Oh, well, that is true, Kev.
I don't know.
That is true.
Do you want to be on stage with John Delaney at the moment if you're an Irish football legend?
Maybe not. Well, that's up to themselves.
They've had chances.
They don't have an issue.
They clearly haven't had an issue.
I'll leave Johnny alone. Don't kick him off the show.
Thanks.
Never kick him off the show.
Thanks Elaine or Nora, whichever of my sisters is on duty today.
Let's go to Selhurst Park. Palace, Everton, Andrew Cheel.
Palace 0, Everton 0, but still Everton on top with a couple of half chances. Just a Gay shooting from the corner of the penalty area. The defender deflected it away for a corner. Sigurdsson also has seen a shot blocked by a defender. That was just on the 6-yard line in a right old melee. Sigurdsson's also been called to account by the referee for diving. An absolutely clear case of simulation, but he somehow escaped a yellow card, just got a free kick against him. It's Palace 0, Everton 0.
We're going to talk more about Dundalk Shamrock Rovers after 4 o'clock. We'll hear from Vinnie Perth and Stephen Bradley. Our reporter Andy Call was up at the game yesterday. But before Kev goes, I do want to talk about this battle for the top 4 because obviously Spurs are still very much involved in it. Tomorrow's game at Old Trafford is going to go a huge way to deciding what happens. Manchester United up against Chelsea. Obviously, a lot of the conversation around Manchester United this week has been focused on Roy Keane's comments. Let's hear what he had to say on Wednesday night after the derby about United's work ethic.
If that's a player giving it their all, then Man United are in bigger trouble than I even think, and I think they're in huge trouble.
I think they just, by this time, I think that they've just been running to the ground.
Gary, it's 2 yards, man. I guarantee if you'd done the same, but do you think we'd be telling you off? If you didn't close somebody, well, of course we would.
You tell me off anyway. I just think, I've seen this City team I've seen Pep Guardiola's teams over 10 years wear defenders out, make those runs, and they run in, and then they haven't got the legs to get back out.
Gary, he's back there. He's already back there.
His legs have gone. I think his legs have gone. I think his legs have gone.
It's 2 yards. Just at least close it. If the guy gets a shot away, get out to him. Like your life depends on it. Gary, you're on about the runners. There's an obsession with players, or there's people running, but the balls, that's the danger. There's no runner there. The ball's just good. There's only one ball. Go and close it down. Don't worry what's going on over there or over there. Close the ball down.
There was more talk after the game about the punditry than the actual match itself. Here's what John Giles had to say about Keane against Neville.
Well, I think you'd have to take the personalities into account in the punditry, because the personalities go into the punditry and they have a view on the game. I think what Roy Keane was saying last night would be absolutely clear to the way Roy Keane thinks about the game. And obviously most players refer to themselves in a certain way, not very loudly, but what Roy Keane was alluding to was the things that he did when he was a player. So I think one of the things that made Keane great was that he was never satisfied with himself, and he was never satisfied with people around him. Now that's the way great players should behave, right? And that was one of his great assets that Keane had. Now, when he watches the match last night, he wasn't seeing that, right? He wasn't seeing that. So that was totally against what he believed and made him a great player. Neville, I thought Keane was brilliant last night in his analysis and actually tore Neville to bits. What Neville was saying, it didn't make sense to me. What he was saying was, in fact, well, the way City play, I think what Keane and Souness, who was another great player, midfield player as well, would know exactly what it was like to be great. And I think they were talking about one of the goals that somebody didn't get back.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that to Keane, when he played, would never happen.
What do you think, Kev? Did Roy Keane tear Gary Neville to pieces?
I didn't see it, actually. I listened to a little bit, I saw a little bit on Twitter. I actually listened to the show, was it Thursday night? When you two lads are on, you actually made a couple of derogatory remarks about me as well. But anyway, that's for another day. He probably did, yeah. He probably did. I think, and I heard you talking at times, sometimes you can be compromised when you're talking about teams and players, and that's never in Roy Keane's remit, is it? He's not bothered about who he played for, what he did for that club, and I think I think Neville last weekend, when he was frustrated after the Everton game, which quite rightly come out and he's given him a bit of a blast. Do you know what I always think, though, as well? He's coming out, is that going to have an effect on Man United's dressing room with what Gary Neville is saying or what Roy Keane said? I generally don't think it will. I don't think it's going to have an effect on those players' mindsets, what's been said about them. I really don't.
It's not the world they live in anymore.
No, it's not. It's not going to have an effect. Just much the same as when we were criticised by maybe John Giles, Liam Brady or Eamon Dunphy over there. We never would have seen it. You're on a flight the following morning. You're not seeing a lot of it when it's in the dressing room. It's been relayed back to you from friends and family, but that's it really. You're not necessarily seeing it. So
well, he says that. Yeah. First thing he just said 2 minutes ago was that he was watching on Thursday night, and there was a couple of derogatory remarks about him.
They weren't even that derogatory.
I'm working, Nathan. Now I'm working the media, so I'm trying to.
You're keeping abreast of things, yeah.
Just to be clear,
I'm like a sponge, Nathan. You know.
There was no derogatory remarks made at all. We just said if you stopped, asked the man on the street and said name some Premier League pundits. And you said Kilbane would come up, but the point was just made that there's every chance that Kilbane would be on the street at the time when you said it. That was the only thing that was said.
No, it was more. Yeah, it's fair enough, but it was more the laugh from Nathan just taking the piss. You know,
that was derogatory.
I think was it Rashford who made the comment, which I thought was very interesting, is that they don't take each other on in the dressing room. The players, they don't like to speak up in terms of. I thought that just to me,
Johnny, you spot on, Johnny. The dynamic of the dressing room has totally changed, and that changed even like to the back end of me when I was playing. You criticised any player, it wouldn't be. You wouldn't have that conversation for a week. Manager criticises a player, then it's in a little huddle. They might have a chat with each other, not necessarily even speak up for themselves to an extent. I'm not saying it happens in every dressing room, but there's very few players. In comparison to maybe when I first started, when I first stepped into the Premier League, when I was first coming through the city, lads, and there'd be 8, 9, 10 voices that would go back at a manager or a player if a player's criticising them. I don't think it happens now. But
if it doesn't happen now, sorry Johnny, but like we were talking about that on Thursday. We were talking about Arsenal on Thursday, and there's certain teams you talk about where it always seems like we're having the same discussion, where the characters and where the leaders, and if they just don't exist now to the same degree that they did when Kev played or when other people played, well then do we have to redefine what you look for in terms of
it's been redefined in coaching, though. Coaching is totally different about in the methodology in coaching. It is very much around praise. It's constructive criticism so often, and that's how it is now. It's
also the modern day person as well as a modern day player. I remember talking to Alan Reynolds about this when he's trying to mould together a dressing room of players who come from disparate backgrounds, and he says the first thing you notice is that they're all on their phone. And I spoke to another League of Ireland manager this week, Tim Clancy, who said that's typical Pogba. He'll do one good thing in the game and he'll be straight onto Instagram afterwards. And a lot of these players are actually thinking of their life through social media now in terms of their own individual kind of, and they're not that collective kind of spirit and the old-fashioned man in the dressing room. I don't think that really exists as much anymore. I think they're
But if it doesn't exist,
from
then,
a different
Kevin,
generation.
If it doesn't exist, how then is the Manchester United and Arsenal dressing room any different to the Liverpool and Manchester City dressing room, where they're so successful?
It's a great point, isn't it?
Do they have characters that United don't have?
I mean, you can tell clearly from how the managers go about things. I think it's even done here at Tottenham as well, with the demands that the manager has been putting on those players day in, day out about how they conduct themselves on the pitch, the work rate. Something else that Gary Neville spoke about last week when he spoke about Man United in comparison to City and about the work rate of Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling, Sergio Aguero. How Sergio Aguero has had to adapt his game to stay in that City side comes down to work rate, doesn't it? That's what it's about. And if you're not putting in the work, you're being told you're not putting in the work, and that's been relayed back through stats. It's been relayed back through the manager, how he's telling you in certain ways. You're not going to play in those top sides unless you're actually putting in the work. Now, you can't tell me that Paul Pogba cannot run anymore. Is he covering the same distance per game as a Bernardo Silva, as a De Bruyne, whoever it would be? I don't know. You might have stats to back that up. I don't know, but it certainly doesn't look it to me.
Keane's comments on Pogba were absolutely nailed on the other night. He's like, Pogba gave us an interview and Keane is like, I don't believe for a minute he even believes himself what he's saying there. And,
but do you know what, Johnny? He's a brilliant footballer, isn't he? He's a brilliant footballer. You can't get away from that fact, but he doesn't have...
Mentality's not there.
Yeah, the mentality maybe of that application to work without the ball constantly, it's not there, I don't think.
All right, Kev, we'll let you go. I know we've got a flight to catch.
Yeah, all the best, lads.
We wouldn't like you to miss one.
Yeah, enjoy it. Yeah, that's not like me, is it?
Where's he flying to now?
I think he's flying to Dublin. Are you flying to Dublin or are you flying to New York? Are we going to see you before you go to New York?
I'm going to Stansted now, back to Dublin, yeah.
All right, Air. Right,
All right. What time do you arrive?
Whom is it?
I don't know, is it 6:40 my flight? So I've got the direct train from Tottenham Hale. You'd know that, Nathan, wouldn't you? Direct train to Stansted. So yeah, that's me. That's my move.
The intricacies of the London transport system. Radio gold of a Saturday afternoon. Just before you go, a text in. Will Cave perform a bit of Vanilla Ice over in the Big Apple? Yes. Whether it's filmed or not, I'm not quite sure, but it'll happen.
I've got way better songs than Vanilla Ice now, Nathan. That was 6 years ago. It's gone now.
You've moved on. All right. Well, a lot to look forward to for the travelling Mayo people. We'll talk to you soon, Kev.
Yeah. All the best. All the best.
Another goal at St Mary. Southampton Bournemouth. Peter Hood.
Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2, and the Cherries have turned it around, having gone behind to Shane Long's goal. They've taken the lead here thanks to a finish from Callum Wilson. A long shot from Brooks was parried by the keeper and followed up by Callum Wilson for his 14th goal of the season. He put the ball in the net, all against the run of play. Southampton has started brightly, but Bournemouth have turned it round. Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2.
Next to Vicarage Road, it's 8th place Watford against 7th place Wolves. Joe Rawson.
It remains Watford 0, Wolves 0. This match nowhere near as entertaining as that FA Cup semi-final less than 3 weeks ago. Both sides still really feeling each other out, but the hosts have had a decent spell in the last 5 minutes or so. Gerard Delafeo was put through by Etienne Capoue, but he slipped at the vital time as he moved into the penalty area as Wolves come forward and the ball is cleared off the line. Well, a break as Wolves came from right to left on the attack, and it was slid in to the attacker Raul Jimenez, and somehow Craig Cathcart managed to clear it off the line. The best chance of the match so far. It fell to Jimenez, but it was cleared off the line, so it remains Watford 0, Wolves 0.
Next to Selhurst Park, Palace against Everton. Andrew Cheel.
Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0. It's taken Palace a long time, but they are finally beginning to show up in attack. Everton, though, still looking the better side. The 1/2 chance to Milivojevic of Palace, bludgeoning his way through 2 tackles, earning himself a chance to shoot, but his accuracy failed to match up to his determination, and the ball flew way too high. It's still Palace 0, Everton 0.
In the Championship, none of the top 3 are in action in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Norwich play at 7:30, the leaders against Blackburn Rovers. Sheffield United in second, kick off at 5:15 against Ipswich, and then Leeds, who are currently third. They don't play until tomorrow against 5th place Aston Villa. So some of the teams around the playoff places are involved. Derby are currently in the playoff places. A big game for them away at Bristol City, and Derby have taken the lead through Tom Lawrence. It finished scoreless earlier between Millwall and Stoke. Birmingham 1-0 up against Wigan. It's 1-1 between Middlesbrough and Reading. Preston have gone 1-0 up against Sheffield Wednesday, but it wasn't one of the Irish players.
No, Jayden Stockley scored. I see Maguire's been moved out to the wing actually again today. Stockley playing through the middle.
Swansea 1 up against Hull. Scoreless between Queen's Park Rangers and Forest, and it's no goals as well between West Brom, who are currently 4th, and Rotherham.
I see O'Dowda didn't make it back for Bristol City. It was one of the things Mick McCarthy was saying during the week, that he'd been talking to Lee Johnson, who's the manager, and suggesting O'Dowda could be close, but he's pretty much been out since the last international break now, O'Dowda.
So he's gone into the game cold against them, or?
Oh, very cold. I mean, if they're out of the playoff situation, they've only got a chance to play one more game. So,
You're welcome to Strokestown Road, Longford, Johnny, on border of Roscommon. You're a good man, if a little impulsive, says Jay from Roscommon.
That's some helpful feedback.
That's a bit of positivity there as well.
Jay, fair play for that. Absolutely excellent ground they have in Longford as well. I've been going to Strokestown Road would be fairly close to me where I'm from, and I remember when Longford were a laughing stock going to games there, and then a particular young Dubliner called Stephen Kenny came along, but they're absolutely flying it. I think one worry for Longford that they may have is that they don't lose their manager Neil Fenn to Cork City, which has definitely been mentioned in the sense of if Cork City did change their management, Fenn doesn't have his badge, but he could go in there like a kind of a Vinnie Perth guys and have a coach with him. James
O'Toole on Twitter, poor Johnny getting it tight again so soon after his Michael Duffy and Pat Hooban comments last year as well.
Yeah, well that was completely overblown.
Just ask Nathan where Oriel Park is, and that'll soon soften his cough.
Just getting back briefly to
I've been to Oriel Park.
Yeah, I mean it's just up the road there.
Getting back briefly to
Carrick Road.
getting back briefly to the championship, I've spoken before about how unfair I think the playoffs are in terms of the two-legged system, but I genuinely feel whatever team finishes third this season will have almost like very little chance because they'll be so downbeat after not having gotten promoted, be they Leeds, and like you can't argue that Leeds and Sheffield United haven't been better than basically everything else apart from Norwich, but the team that'll go in there, if Leeds finish third after the season they've had, even with Bielsa's energy and all that, I'd find it very hard to see them getting through.
Yeah, at the moment it looks as though they are going to end up finishing third. A reminder again that I'm sure you've heard, we're giving you a chance to go to Rugby World Cup 2019 in Japan. It's an all-expenses trip to Ireland, Scotland in Yokohama City on September 22nd. It's a brilliant prize, all with thanks to Heineken, worldwide partner to Rugby World Cup 2019 in Japan. We gave away the first green ticket at our roadshow in the Olympia last month. Plenty more to give away between now and May 9th when all 100 green ticket holders will join us at a special event in Dublin, and one lucky winner will be jetting their way to Japan. We're going to pick 3 winners this afternoon. Not quite as difficult as Thursday night, where if you didn't have access to Wikipedia, you were absolutely screwed.
Or from Japan.
In which case you were just looking for a trip back home.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you would have to go and watch the rugby.
Yeah, you probably just skip the match and just go home.
Just go home. Those people can enter as well. People can enter as well. This time it's a bit more straightforward. It's a mystery voice. Just tell us who it is during his audition to be a talent show judge.
He has got a serious X factor.
One more time.
He has got a serious X factor.
These are all rugby personnel, are they?
Generally they are, but that is a rugby man.
I know the voice, but I just can't.
Your types, John.
Yeah.
You know, that's what makes it so difficult. You know the voice, but who is it, Johnny?
Not one
to
of my
enter,
types.
just text your name and answer to.
Not one of my types.
Someone you would meet on your Saturday morning brunch trips now in your new lifestyle, your new rugby lifestyle.
There was genuinely a great moment at the Leinster-Toulouse game last weekend when, with about 5 minutes left, a girl in a Leinster jersey behind me asked her friend what a maul was.
Oh God!
And could you explain?
Well, no, I didn't. But I did have a moment of clarity where it's like that is kind of a little bit of an anecdote to the rugby scene in this country.
Why? You're allowed to go to a match and enjoy it and not know every.
She was wearing a Leinster jersey.
You're allowed to wear it. You don't need to know every.
Why would you be wearing a Leinster? Why would you have paid for a Leinster jersey? Go pay 80 quid or whatever for a Heineken Cup semi-final and not know what a maul is?
Because maybe she just enjoys the occasion.
She could have got it as a Christmas present from someone.
Yeah.
I wonder does she know what a maul is a week later?
Give us
Actually, to be honest, I think you're one.
Give us a 2-line summation of exactly what a maul is.
Oh, I don't even know rugby that well, but I'm not claiming to be a rugby.
What is a maul, actually? What is a maul?
Well, it's a roving situation where you've basically one team moving against the other and kind of shifting players around with the ball in hand. The guy is obviously behind the moving ruck, as it were, I suppose. But I'm not a rugby man. I was watching the game, and
I can't believe she didn't explain that.
But I'm one of these guys. I'm one of these guys that's watched rugby since I was about 8. But like, I still need the referee to explain every kind of. I don't really get the game.
Play the mystery voice one more time.
He has got a serious X factor.
To enter, just text your name and answer to 53106. You must be over 18. Remember to drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie. Next week, the question is going to be, what's a maul? So only true rugby people can win this competition.
A moving ruck. A moving ruck. That's now.
What is it you, Dan?
I haven't a clue. I don't know
what a maul is. What's it you?
Well, I think you, in some way, described it. I'm not sure how you would describe it. I would have thought just a group of men pushing the ball.
It's a little bit like a scrum, except
melee, like,
it is. Yeah,
it's a little bit like a scrum, except it's
a walking scrum.
A walking scrum.
A roving scrum. But I should mention the girl she asked what a maul was. I don't think she knew either. So
what's the problem?
I don't know. I just think.
Do you want people to fill out a questionnaire and entering the ground?
I can't imagine being at an FAI Cup semi-final and a girl turning around and asking what a corner kick was or whatever. Would not happen.
But if they want to come to an FAI Cup semi-final and not know the rules,
wearing a
that's
Leinster
okay.
Jersey. Yeah, I know. It said a lot about the
like you become a rugby snob within 3 matches. Remarkable. A goal at Watford Wolves before we go to the ads. Joe Rawson.
It's Watford 0, Wolves 1. First blood to Nuno Espirito Santo's side. It was a goal that came from a cross on this near side that was put in by Diogo Jota. A beautiful ball into the 6-yard box, and there to head home was Raúl Jiménez, the man who usually pops up to score for Wolves. Watford 0, Wolves 1.
It's Bournemouth 2, Southampton 1 at St Mary's. Shane Long with another goal for Southampton. No goals between Fulham and Cardiff are in the games between Palace and Everton.
Great news on the racing front, Dan. King George next for Altior.
Oh, really? Oh.
This is. We may have to go to ads, but King George Altior, happy days, something to really.
I believe it when I see it, John.
Well, it's the plan according to Nicky Henderson.
I believe it when I see it.
Let's take a break.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Taking Stock with Vincent Wall.
Each week, Taking Stock takes a wider view of the world of business and finance. This week, the enemy within. Simon Cooper on the future of populist politics across Europe. Aoife White of Bloomberg on their reporting into Ireland's tax affairs. And is the NFL draft in the USA the greatest socialist project in sport?
Taking Stock with Vincent Wall.
Download the podcast now or tune in Sunday morning at 10.
Brought to you by PwC.
On News Talk.
Easter Mega Deals ends Tuesday at Curry's PC World, and we won't be beaten on price. Get amazing value on Ireland's largest range of home appliances and technology, like the DeLonghi Bean to Cup coffee machine, now just $349. Check out the stylish range of Tefal Avanti kettles and toasters, now better than half price. Save up to €130 on Hoover wash machines, or get the 8 kilo Becca wash machine, now only $229. And big brand savings continue with up to €200 off Samsung refrigeration. Shop in store or online at currys.ie. T's and C's apply.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
At Centra, we have great offers in store. Like Centra Irish chicken fillets, 680 gram, half price now €4.50. 8-pack cans like Guinness and Bulmers, only €12 each. And Persil Liquid Range 24 wash, 840ml, better than half price at €5. Centra, live every day. Enjoy, call sensibly.
Today is the perfect time for making a change and looking after yourself by switching your health insurance to Leia Healthcare. With great benefits like a session with a qualified health coach and video calls with Irish registered GPs from wherever you happen to be. So talk to one of our experts about switching today for peace of mind from just over €10 a week on 1890 700 890, because it's good to live. Leia Healthcare, looking after you always.
Insurance provided by Ellipse Insurance Limited, trading as Leia Healthcare. Leia Healthcare Limited, trading as Leia Healthcare and Leia Life, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Price and benefits for one adult over the age of 18 on Assure Protect.
A Sky Cinema original.
Do you remember the night we met?
Based on the true story behind Ted Bundy.
This is all gonna end. It's only gonna end with the truth.
America's most notorious serial killer.
This case is about catching a monster.
Starring Zac Efron, Lily Collins, Kaya Scodelario, and John Malkovich.
Promise you never leave me. Did you do these things, Ted?
Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. In cinemas and on Sky Cinema May 3rd. Rated 16.
Your home is your world. Make it fabulous at House, Ireland's premium interiors event, taking place from the 24th to the 26th of May at the RDS Main Hall, Dublin. Explore the latest trends with Hugh Wallace on the Trends Talk stage. Get interiors advice at the Design Clinic. Participate in our interactive upcycling area. Be inspired by experts including Dermot Bannon, Susie McAdam, Roisin Lafferty and more. Live from the Inspiration stage. Tickets on sale now. Under 12s go free. Just search House Event.
Harry, Barry and Gary's business has grown since they've had eReceptionist. And now with eReceptionist's virtual PA team, they can manage their new customers too. From live call answering to basic service desk help, the eReceptionist virtual PA team keeps their business growing and their costs down. So even if Harry's on holiday with Carrie, all their business calls are taken care of 24/7. Discover great call answering solutions for your business. Go to eReceptionist.ie.
This week at Power City, get free delivery on selected Neff, Slide and Hyde ovens. The only oven with a unique disappearing door. To find out more, go online to powercity.ie or call in store today.
Take steps to improve the energy efficiency of your home. Generate as much as 80% of your electricity requirements with solar PV panels from Energlaze. SEAI grants of up to €3,800 also available. Every upgrade you make makes a difference.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
150,000 people here tonight. 150,000 people.
Poor Owen Sheehan. He's never going to hear the end of this.
Well, he's probably secretly happy with it, though.
He's heading for 150,000 views.
150,000 people.
Have the hosts established yet that he works on?
I think so. So I assume that we'll have to get the guy who interviewed them on when he returns on Monday.
Yeah, because
this could be his big break.
Well, this is it, like, the red-haired Irish fella, like, you know, they love a bit of that.
They do. You know the way you're out, though, you might have had one too many, you sent a couple of texts, maybe you send a couple of texts, maybe you shouldn't. You wake up the next morning.
Voicemail audios.
Voicemail ones, and you wake up with the fear.
Johnny Ward's current.
Imagine waking up and having, like, 100,000 people having watched a video that you can probably not entirely remember actually being involved in.
He's loving it, really.
He is delighted with life. You can imagine what the texts are after our conversation. Pre-ads, Dan.
So he's just wishing
Adele here from Killaloo. Johnny, stop being a knob. I watch you go to lots of sporting events and don't know all the rules or how to explain them. But guess what? I still enjoy the game. So feckin' what if someone doesn't know what a maul is? Johnny, I'm a girl, big rugby fan, jersey is red. You repeated a few times. She was wearing a Leinster jersey. Think that's your clue.
A bit of a dig at Leinster, isn't it? Yeah.
That wasn't a dig at Johnny.
Ewan McKenna was having a big dig at Munster today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's it's gotten an awful lot of reaction.
Yeah. It wasn't a tweet. It was
and Dan's match report from last night, in which he starts with they haven't gone away. It was his first, which I thought was quite interesting.
Well,
there you go. Any more text reviews than Johnny? Or is that the...
A mall is somewhere you go shopping to buy clothes produced by the mystery voice. Fair enough. Keep them coming. 53106 is the text number. A text in from our very own Enda Call. Give the drums, Drumcondra that is, a shout out, lads. UCFL champions for the second year in a row. Division 1 this time.
UCFL, is it United Churches?
United Churches.
That's the Saturday League, yeah.
That's the well-represented league on the FAI Council.
That's the Clairefontaine of administrators for the FAI board.
The latest in the Premier League, heading towards half-time. We'll bring you the reports on these. In fact, we can start going around the grounds. First up, Palace against Everton. Andrew Cheal.
Palace 0, Everton 0. Everton much the better side. A handful of chances they've had to just the one for Watford. Calvert-Lewin shot tamely at the keeper. He was also inches from heading home with Richarlison cross. Idrissa Gueye and Sigurdsson have both seen shots blocked by defenders, and Richarlison failed to capitalise on a promising 2-on-2 break. For Palace, a Max Meyer shot into the side net has been their only threat. It's Palace 0, Everton 0.
Next up to Vicarage Road, a big game in the battle for 7th. Watford against Wolves. Joe Rawson.
Half-time here at Vicarage Road. It's Watford 0, Wolves 1. Wolves with their noses in front in this battle to finish 7th in the Premier League, and they do deserve it. They have slightly been the better side in this first half. The goal came on 41 minutes after a Diogo Jota cross from this near side. It was pinpoint for Raul Jimenez to head home from inside the 6-yard box. 5 minutes before that, Jimenez thought he had scored again. A crossing, this time from the far side though, by Dendoncker. It was in towards Raul Jimenez, and it took a brilliant clearance from almost on the goal line by Etienne Capoue to keep it at 0-0. Watford had been pretty blunt in terms of an attacking force. Gerard Deulofeu has been put through on a couple of occasions, but he's seemed to slip at the vital moments. Half-time here, it's Watford 0, Wolves 1.
Shane Long back among the goals again in Southampton's game against Bournemouth. Peter Hood.
Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2. What a first 45 minutes on the south coast. Southampton dominating the first 20 minutes and taking the lead through Shane Long, his 4th goal in 5 games. He's latched on to a Redmond cross to give Southampton a deserved lead. He could have added to that tally. He hit the post. He's also been booked as he's been the star man for the Saints so far. But back came Bournemouth. They levelled up with their first attack. Dan Gosling equalised, and then 10 minutes later it was Callum Wilson slotting home to leave a half-time score of Southampton 1, Bournemouth 2.
Keane Carroll tweeted, poor old Johnny's getting a terrible doing here. Tremendous stuff. I do feel a bit bad. I feel as though it's one-way traffic at the moment.
Well, in fairness, you don't say the league is over and then 2 weeks later there's a bloody point in it without getting some abuse, in fairness.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's actually 4 points, John, as well. So
the game in hand is against Bows, yeah, fair enough.
Tough. It's tough one, yeah.
That could happen. When is that game in hand?
It's yesterday fortnight, I think, yeah. It's Friday, May the 10th. Yeah. So
Shane Long obviously got the quickest ever Premier League goal on Tuesday night, 7 seconds. That's a nice record to have. It's probably going to last for many years. That'll be hard to beat.
I think you'd need to, the Asian markets would investigate if there was a quicker goal scored. It's very hard to score.
But they were getting the Asian markets in and talking about something in a kind of a positive way.
So it's not necessarily positive. You can do a throw-in with a couple of seconds, but a goal would require a certain amount of...
I'm surprised though, when you look at the way that goal was scored, I'm surprised there haven't been more goals scored inside the opening 10 seconds. Just like that, he pressed, blocked it down and scores. I saw the statistic that if you were to go through the amount of goals that have ever been scored in the Premier League, that statistically 51 goals should have been scored inside the opening 10 seconds of a game, but only 2 have.
Interesting. Yeah.
So are teams missing a trick? Are they not being positive enough from the kickoff?
Yeah, they probably are just easing themselves.
Nobody tries to score from a kickoff anymore either.
No.
Are teams not missing a trick though in terms of a 3-point for a win game where it's 1-1, right, with 10 minutes left, and you have effectively 2 points extra for winning the game, or you lose 1 point if you don't get a draw, right? So it's do I go for the win and gain 2 points when I gamble by losing 1 point if we lose the game? And it's actually, this statistical point is being made. Teams should completely push for a win and forfeit the draw if needs be, because statistically they'll actually be a lot better off with 3 points every now and then, basically.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. And has that been statistically borne out this season? When you look at Tottenham,
who've
third
drawn,
in the table, who've drawn once and lost 12 games.
Yeah, it's sort of an outrageous record.
But Jimmy Hill completely... he's kind of, given the credit for bringing in the 3 points, but it's probably not something teams do enough.
And he got rid of the minimum wage as well.
Jimmy did a lot of things.
A lot of things, yeah.
He did a lot of things.
Let's go to Craven Cottage. It's just gone half-time. Fulham Cardiff, Mike Lawrence.
Fulham 0, Cardiff City 0. No goals and little in the way of goalmouth action, with the windy conditions not helping. There was a lengthy delay midway through the half when Fulham defender Dennis Adoy collided with teammate Maxime Lemarchand inside their area. He was treated by medics on the pitch before being stretchered off. Cyrus Christie is on in his place. And at half-time, it's Fulham 0, Cardiff City 0.
Just a reminder that this coming Thursday, Off the Ball will be live from the Aviva Stadium for a Liverpool special, and we want you to join us. The Aviva's Havelock area is going to be the venue as we preview the second leg of the Champions League semi-finals and the title run-in the company of Liverpool legend Steve McManaman and Kenny Cunningham. We'll be there Thursday night. The only way to enjoy it is to be there on the night. So get your tickets now at offtheball.com/events. That's our Liverpool special with Steve McManaman and the man who tried to chop him down on many occasions, Kenny Cunningham. That is this Thursday with thanks to Boyle Sports. Kevin on Twitter. See, I'm worried about where this is going, and we're going to be showing up as the next hour goes on.
Oh.
The important part is the difference between a maul and a ruck.
Right.
Go on, Johnny.
Maul and a ruck. Well, a ruck is the ball's on the ground.
Simple as that. Yeah. Johnny's right. It is a fair reflection of the average rugby fan in Ireland. They spend the majority of their time going to the bar anyways, says Charlie Chops in Smithfield.
There was an incredible amount of people at the bar. It was everyone seemed to make sure that they had a point about their person during the game.
Shamefully, I got a ticket for Ireland New Zealand a couple of years back. My brother had an extra ticket,
and you went.
What's shameful about that?
You went.
I didn't deserve to go to that game. I'm not a rugby fan. There's people around the country who would love to have gone to the game, so I offered it to all some of the people I know that like rugby, and they all were going already, or they weren't available. So I went to the game thinking, okay, I am getting to see two of the best teams in the world here, and there was people all around who were still at crucial points of the game, still getting up to go for getting around in.
And does that not happen during a Republic of Ireland international?
I don't know if it does. Can you? You can't bring your drink out.
Can you bring your drink out at a rugby match?
Oh, you can, yeah.
You can bring it to the. Yeah. You can bring it to your seat.
That's the point. Yeah, that's the point. Because you're a rugby fan, you're naturally able to do that. But if you're a soccer fan, of course not.
You'll be a tug. You start a fight.
The Rovers Bowl game the other night, there must have been about 30 emergency response units from the Gardaí there. I was like, lads, it's not.
Well, it was that Schools Cup match, lads.
It's not.
Well, was the headline in the local newspaper?
No arrest.
I was like, this notion of League of Ireland fans as thugs certainly needs to be challenged. It's like, we're not in Sarajevo here for a derby game. It's Rovers Bowls, like, chill out. Yeah. 30 cops there from the ERU or thereabouts.
They have to be there just in case. I mean, stuff has happened, and I totally agree with you. I think the labelling is ridiculous.
The clubs have to pay for that.
And there was points last year in a derby game where there's a bloke taking a throw in, nearly having to sidestep a cop, and like that does look ridiculous. But if it went the other way and there was an issue, there would be serious questions. There's a balance to be found. I think the labelling is definitely something that's deeply unfortunate.
I was having to explain to my children when we were leaving the ground why there were 20 Gardaí on horses standing outside. They were a little bit confused as to...
Well, I was quite confused, and I'm 36 years of age, why they needed that many cops at a Dublin Derby game on a Tuesday night.
All right, so half-time in the Premier League games. The most important one is what's happening at Fulham Cardiff. There was a long delay in that. Dennis Adoy picked up a nasty-looking head injury, so there was a 10-minute delay, so that one will probably finish a little bit late. Cardiff really needs, at the very least, a point, but you would think away from Fulham, that's a game they will be desperate to win. Brighton, who are also involved in that relegation battle, they take on Newcastle in the late game at 5:30. 53106 is the text number. As always, we like to get involved on a Saturday afternoon. We will hear from Stephen Bradley, the Shamrock Rovers manager, and Vinnie Perth, the head coach at Dundalk, talking to end the call after last night's game. And we'll chat about Liverpool and Manchester City as well next.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
Get up-to-the-minute news updates at newstalk.com and on the Newstalk app.
At Harvey Norman, our camera specialists are dedicated to making your memories come to life. Whether you're a beginner or expert, we'll help you choose the camera that's right for you. We've got all the top brands and all the accessories you need. Plus, get a free €20 photo centre voucher to print your pictures when you buy any camera. So visit us at Harvey Norman today and let our experts help you choose the perfect camera to capture those special occasions. Harvey Norman, your camera specialists.
Go! You know that feeling you get when you sense a team's winning streak is about to end? Or when you know the pundits are getting it all wrong? That feeling? That's me. I'm your hunch. I was there back in Istanbul when you just knew the comeback was on. I'm the guy that tells you when the odds don't look so odd. I'm your hunch. It's time to start listening.
Heed your hunch with Betway. Download the app to find out more about Betway's Bet Club. Bet responsibly. 18 plus. For support and information, see dunlewy.net.
Enjoy your independent time this Saturday. The number of renters is growing among all ages as home ownership goes beyond the reach of many. What does it mean for society? Review talks to Generation Rent. As the weather warms up, Weekend Kitchen has top tips for cooking outdoors. Weekend's Men's Style Edition has classic looks styled for the modern man. And in sport, the Moss O'Shea tackles the hypocrisy on violence in the GAA. Irish Independent on Saturday. It's your weekend.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index, reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
Everyone shouts about how fast their broadband is.
We're fast, mega fast, stupid fast, almost too fast.
But what do they say about reliability? With Virgin Media, you get both. Ireland's fastest broadband network and 99.9% network reliability. Reliability at speed. See virginmedia.ie.
Terms and conditions apply. Ireland's fastest broadband network as awarded by Ookla. Network reliability. See virginmedia.ie/proof.
Every business starts out small, but with big ambitions. That's where OnPost Commerce comes in. Your expert business partner in mail, parcels, and logistics. We don't just help you grow, we help you thrive. And that's a promise. We offer next day delivery to every corner of Ireland with over 1,000 drop-off points. And we know your customers almost as well as you do. See how we can help your business thrive. Search OnPost Commerce for your world.
The Dyson 4-day event is back at Harvey Norman. Experience Dyson technology and get the chance to win back your Dyson purchase in store this weekend. Get the Dyson V8 Absolute Cord-Free Vacuum for just €349, or get the Dyson Hot and Cool Fan for just €490, saving you €59. With expert staff on hand to find the perfect Dyson product for you and the chance to win back your Dyson purchase, discover Dyson at Harvey Norman this weekend.
Terms and conditions apply. See in-store for details.
Across Ireland on 106 to 108 FM and at newstalk.com. This is Newstalk.
Good evening, I'm Tina Gates. ESB Networks say they hope to have power restored today to all customers impacted by Storm Hannah. At the height of the storm, more than 30,000 homes, businesses and farms were without power. Met Éireann's Siobhan Ryan says strong winds were the main feature of the storm.
The strongest core of winds didn't actually hit the north or east until later in the night and first thing this morning. Primarily a wind event, obviously, but there were some heavy falls of rain out there as well, but no significant totals were reported.
An Nolai lifeboat carried out a daring rescue at the height of last night's storm. The crew of Castletown Bear lifeboat launched in a Force 9 to help a 33-foot fishing boat which had lost power in Bearhaven Harbour in West Cork. Lifeboat operations manager Paul Stevens says conditions were very challenging.
Conditions on scene were very difficult. There was a large swell and winds were Force 9 gusting to Force 10, and within minutes the lifeboat managed to get a tow rope onto the vessel and very slowly bring the vessel back into Castletown Bear's inner harbour. And the two people on board were brought to safety and the vessel was berthed alongside the pier.
2 houses have been attacked in Drogheda in what's believed to be part of an ongoing criminal feud. In the first incident, a petrol bomb was discovered at a house in Ashley Heights at around 20 past midnight. Later at 4 a.m. this morning, a petrol bomb was thrown through the window of a house in Springfield Court. No one was injured at either property. And Fergal Quinn, the founder of Super Quinn, is being laid to rest this afternoon in Sutton in Dublin. The businessman died on Wednesday at the age of 82 after a short illness. His family said he was a loving and caring husband behind his public face as an ebullient businessman, entrepreneur and former senator. That's it for now. We'll have more in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. For the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring, Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
Windy today with outbreaks of rain in Ulster gradually clearing. Elsewhere a mix of sunny spells and passing blustery showers with the odd thundery downpour possible. Top temperatures of 8 to 12 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome back. It is Saturday's Off the Ball. Nathan, Dan and Johnny in studio. Quickly to Vicarage Road, where there's been a goal between Watford and Wolves. Joe Rawson.
It's Watford 1, Wolves 1. The perfect start to this second half for Javi Gracia's side. Wolves, though, architects of their own downfall in this one. Ryan Bennett with an awful backwards pass. Gifted possession to Gerard Delafeo. It looked as if the chance may had gone as he delayed getting the shot away. It was half cleared by Wolves, but it fell straight to Andre Gray, who kept his cool and passed it into an empty goal. It's all square. Watford 1, Wolves 1.
So as always on a Saturday afternoon, we've reported that all the Premier League matches, 4 of them kicked off at 3 o'clock. As you heard, it's 1-1 between Watford and Wolves. Shane Long gave Southampton an early lead against Bournemouth, not quite 7 seconds, but scored inside the opening quarter of an hour. However, Bournemouth have struck back. Goals from Dan Gosling and Callum Wilson have them leading 2-1. Scoreless between Palace and Everton. No goals either between Fulham and Cardiff. That game delayed by about 10 minutes due to a bad injury suffered by Fulham's Dennis Adoy. That's the most important of those 3 o'clock kickoffs. Cardiff, as it stands, would be back within 2 points of Brighton, but will have played a game more. Brighton get underway at 5:30 against Newcastle. So, who do you think's going down? Cardiff or Brighton? Brighton have a horrible run-in after this game against Newcastle.
I thought Cardiff had to win today. I was sort of tempted by looking at the options for Cardiff to win today, but I think if Cardiff don't win today, I still think Brighton will do it. Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Brighton to stay up.
Brighton to stay up.
Yeah.
The interesting aspect of this is obviously that Brighton may also have another role on the final day of the season because they play Manchester City at home. And if Brighton need something, if Cardiff can win this game and Brighton end up not picking something up, that game takes on
it does
a totally different role.
Brighton with nothing to play for, that game is a complete and utter formality. It's probably like they'll probably be like 20-1 or something like that, you know.
Yeah. No, like it's. Well, I think we spoke about this briefly during the week. No, it's very much in Liverpool's interest that Brighton have something to play for, because definitely that team that's fighting for its life, they'll produce a performance. Although I saw McGrath Delaney had a good stat on about Man City during the week. The games where Man City have won, they've gone ahead before the hour mark, I think, in all the games. It's really interesting. Whereas
it's a big contrast to
Liverpool with the late goals and stuff. That are City going to be rattled if they suddenly find themselves frustrated in a game beyond that threshold?
Well, that's the one thing that this title race hasn't happened. I think maybe it was the same article. People are talking about this being one of the great title races. It's been great in the standard of football that the two teams have produced. They're so far ahead of everybody else. They're breaking every record possible.
Been a lot of boring
But there's
games.
been no drama.
Yeah.
There's been no twists. There's been very few twists and turns at all, aside from Liverpool going behind a couple of times. The match against Spurs where they got the late goal. But from Manchester City's point of view, it's just been relentless.
I think you mentioned my mate Julian going to snooker. He was on to me
So
today.
this is outside, by the way. It wasn't on air.
They haven't played. I think they haven't played at the same time at all this season, apart from when they were playing each other, which is quite strange.
That actually has. I think that is diluted it a small bit. I know that it's actually probably great for like media and for broadcast, whatever, that you have like the game on the Saturday and it builds up to Monday or Friday to Sunday or whatever it might be. But I think if there was more simultaneous games going on, I think that would add to the feeling of drama. Like the games where Liverpool have been, even at Fulham, where Liverpool were right up against it, and if there was a game, concurrent at the same, like you would have that sense of something going on with it.
We do have Manchester City's trip to Burnley live on Off the Ball tomorrow. Myself and Stephen Elliott will be at Turf Moor.
Great stuff on Instagram by Jonathan Walters as well.
John Walters, I had suggested earlier in the week maybe Jeff Hendrick was the man who could do Liverpool the favour. John Walters put up a tweet. He's obviously still training at Burnley, or he's still getting his treatment at Burnley, even though John Walters has retired, with Ashley Barnes, suggesting that if he was to maybe do them a favour, Jurgen Klopp could give him a 3-year contract.
He also put in a very crude cutting of Ashley Barnes signing for Liverpool.
I did want to respond. It is the worst photoshopping I've ever seen.
That's kind of.
Do you think John Walters did that himself?
I'd say he probably
Very
did.
possible.
Yeah.
Ashley Barnes is going to play international football for Austria. This is a mad sort of story.
We've had Ashley Barnes on the show.
Oh, did you?
We did last season. Keith Andrews is friends with him, so Keith was in one Thursday night, so we got him on the show. Very nice guy.
Has he played for Austria yet? Or
No, he hasn't. Even back then,
he's gone that
part of
route,
the conversation was that he could end up playing for Austria.
Yeah, because Walters is from a real Everton family as well.
Oh, well.
He had a great record of scoring against Liverpool, which was always meant a lot.
A ridiculous record of scoring against Liverpool. I think only one other player scored more goals against Liverpool in the Premier League than John Walters. Total number of goals John Walters has scored against Everton? 0.
There you go. What are you suggesting?
I'm just throwing it out there. People can make their own minds up.
Sometimes it's hard to play in front of all your family. Like all his family are Everton regulars.
Pressure is too much.
Like, if there's a game and all of a sudden there's extra uncles and family members there, it's like suddenly it's a bit more stressful.
As a hardcore Liverpool fan, do you feel a little bit kind of hard done by the way that the stars have aligned for City, and that these?
I'm not as hardcore as some.
These two very tough games. They get Spurs right after they knocked them out of the Champions League. They're never going to beat them again, and then they get Man United, who've turned into an absolutely rubbish team over the last few weeks. Whereas Liverpool got them at a time when they weren't actually that bad, and you're like,
you see, I think the one thing I do think
a small bit of luck Liverpool at times.
They had the luck with the Origi goal, with the own goal. Yeah, but I do think that people are going to obviously have to write a lot about the title race and where it went wrong. Like, it didn't go wrong anywhere for Liverpool if they don't win the league.
Those games where they drop points.
If you asked any supporter of any club in the world, would you take 97 points at the start of the season? Every time. Jurgen Klopp may well look back at the games away at City, or away at... Well, not even those, but I think the games away at Manchester United and Everton, the 2 scoreless draws, where he didn't really throw everything at them in the last 10-15 minutes. He seemed satisfied, probably rightly, that they're up against 2 of their fiercest rivals, that a point isn't the worst result. But you compare it to what he did against Tottenham, where he went all out knowing that they need the victory.
Thing about getting the 3 points when you have an even money shot and you're getting.
Well, we had a text in on that saying, statistically, if you look at it, Johnny, and you went through last season's results, it would make very little difference to the table if you had only 2 points for a win.
This is one Johnny Ward theory that's been debunked.
Debunked immediately.
I believe you have another one.
My other theory is...
How many theories a week do you come up with? When do you come up with these?
In life, we just accept things and we don't question them, because things that are basically everyone says, like, this is how it should be, and we don't question them. So, example...
But ironically, you didn't seem to question that Shamrock Rovers may not win the league.
Get away with
third
the
of the
Shamrock Rovers
season.
thing, that's over now, right? But
it's over.
If we're
over
talking
2
about,
weeks ago.
Say if we're talking about corner kicks, right? What if the team defending the corner kick decides that they're going to have 3 or 4 players basically on the halfway line? It's like, we don't care, because the chance of you scoring from a corner is pretty remote. Would you fancy Barcelona scoring from a corner of their own more so than you'd fancy them if they were breaking from an opposition corner 3-on-3?
It may work as a surprise tactic, but if you were to do it on a regular basis, surely teams would take a short corner and fancy themselves.
So you kind of have to use the goalkeeper as your kind of maybe your spare man, because you have to have your 2-on-2 with the corner at the same time. But teams would be absolutely petrified. They'd still have to have 4-on-3 going back defensively. And I think the way football is now, you have a better chance of actually winning on the break, getting a goal, than you have from set pieces, because set pieces, like Barca don't really score from set pieces.
Well, Liverpool have scored 20 goals from corner kicks this season.
Liverpool have, but the modern teams are more about...
goal against Shamrock Rovers, Cam. I don't mean to...
Is everything going to go back to Shamrock Rovers and Duck?
Well, I'm just wondering, like, have you seen this in action where it has worked?
I haven't. I've never seen it done.
Have you suggested it to anybody that they should try it out?
I just did.
So you're throwing it out and hoping
they're just things about the football world.
Stuff.
Like Gaelic football changed 100% practically by Donegal. Like, so the game can change. I'm just making little points that certainly are, I think, worth perusing.
Right. Well, maybe we should get a test case. They could bring it in on the pro license.
I think you see certain teams that they might keep an extra body forward from a corner and try and set the test. But I mean, if you're talking 3 or 4, I can see where you're getting at, but I think teams of a certain level and ability would be able to exploit the situation and not suddenly make a corner for them a negative.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'd be able to deal with it.
It's not your worst idea, Johnny.
Yeah, well, I only give 2.
You could try it once in a game, I think, you know, and then see how it goes. I don't think you could make it your thing.
A tweeter wondering, how many theories does Johnny have?
150,000 people here tonight. 150,000
You need to chop it just so it's 150,000. That's starting to wear thin? I'm not sure. Rugby matches at the Aviva are a disgrace. People never sit as there's a constant stream to the bar. They should at least be stopped coming in and out until a break in play. The Ireland-England match was particularly bad. It was very frustrating.
You do see a lot of the Premier League grounds as well at half time that there is this load of empty
seats. But it would
seats.
actually, I mean, I say I'm not a rugby fan, but it would torment you if you're a proper hardcore rugby fan and your view is
proper rugby man. Yeah, you've gone to this massive match, you're really into it, and every so often it's like you're at the cinema or something.
It does remind me of...
get up in the cinema at the same frequency.
It does remind me of the beautiful letter to the Irish Times where he's like, it was a disgrace how many people were in front of me. Real rugby fans know what to do. They bring a hip flask.
You don't get stopped on the way in?
Nah, not with a hip flask. That would be
lack of security.
That would be particularly...
I'm not a rugby match.
There wouldn't be 30 members of the ERU there now.
It's not a theory, it's a hypothesis. It's only a theory once it proves true.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your man from Roscommon again?
I have no idea who that is. Another goal at St Mary's, Southampton, Bournemouth, Peter Hood.
Southampton 2, Bournemouth 2, an equaliser for the Saints, putting their safety plans back on track thanks to James Ward-Prowse, an effort from just outside the penalty area, left-footed low. Southampton 2, Bournemouth 2.
Hypothesize.
You cannot hypothesize.
It's a hypothesis. I hypothesize. I believe that texter is correct, though.
Love that Johnny and Dan admit they haven't a clue about rugby and champion the League of Ireland at every opportunity. Men after my own heart. Another Johnny. Well, you see, this Johnny, you know, he loves his League of Ireland. We'll never doubt that. But he is tempted to become a rugby man.
I always say last Paddy's Day we went out to try.
Dan, how many times? Like this nobody cares.
I'm just saying, like Johnny has embraced rugby, and like that's good. I think he's possibly more open-minded than I am when it comes.
League of Ireland is edging towards becoming quite hipster though as well. So I think be careful what you wish for.
Is League of Ireland not moving?
Be careful.
Is League of Ireland not moving past hipster?
Like post hipster. I don't know. Bowes, like there was a great moment this week where my mate, again it was my mate Julian, but he came back from holidays.
He does exist.
And he saw a guy delivering booze from a Sierra Nevada van, which was obviously craft beer. And the guy who was delivering the booze had been playing for Bowes against Shamrock Rovers the night before, none other than Keith Ward. And I thought that kind of summed up Bowes with craft beer and a guy working a day job very, very well.
That is the romance of the Bowes tale.
Yeah. But there's romance. But how have they so many players? Like they made 8 changes last night, so everyone's on about Bowes. They must have some money.
Are they the wolves of the
How have they? But like, where's this?
You look deep into
it. They have
it.
a deeper squad than Rovers in some respects. Like I'm wondering, are we over exaggerating?
I'm not sure if they have a deeper squad than the Rovers have some very good young players that they maybe haven't had to use them, but then circumstances dictated that they had to use one of them last night as well. Whereas Bowes' squad, beyond like the profile of the Bow squad is younger, so it's not a big of a deal to throw in the likes of say Andy Lyons and people like that because they've got a bit of experience. Like Rovers do have some good players out on loan at other clubs and so on, like Sean Boyd and people like that. So, but I think probably what has been exposed from Rovers' point of view is that Dundalk's squad depth is significantly stronger.
Definitely.
And with a big run of games coming up, it's strange. It could actually prove costly.
Absolutely.
In that respect.
Talking about romance and the League of Ireland and, well, I don't know, maybe unrequited love. Last Tuesday night, Tallaght Stadium, over 6,000 people, but really it was all about two, Johnny Ward and David McWilliams. It was a love story that started in this very studio, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were on the newspaper round.
So you invited him to join you at a League of Ireland game, and I don't want to ruin the ending, but I left the match about a minute from the end to beat the traffic. And I spotted Johnny Ward and I expected him to be sitting there beside David McWilliams. But alas, no, you were sitting all alone. What happened?
I was sitting beside my mate Connor.
All alone?
No, well, it was a strange situation because I was hoping to watch the game with him and his son was there. But it turns out his son brought two mates as well. So there were 4 people at the game and it was so crowded. There was no chance of sitting together. By the time he arrived, he had to go to the far side where the Bows fans were in a kind of a spillover area because there was 6,500 people at the game. But I don't know. The reason I said to Dave McWilliams was Dave McWilliams will probably write a column about the League of Ireland. I'm very interested. He said to me, I really want to write an economic kind of study on how the League of Ireland could prosper. And then I was trying to explain to him that, well, basically this league has no prize money coming in and no TV money, and it's signed into a confidentiality agreement where it doesn't know how much SSE or electricity give to it, such that money could actually be thieved from the League of Ireland for other purposes within Irish football, for all that we know. And he was absolutely gobsmacked by this. But anyway, if he does write an article, he tweeted about his experience to 250,000 people, and I would like to say that at least he's doing his bit to promote the League of Ireland, and so are we, because I think it's an undervalued product.
You made a very good point. I think both of you have made this point. One thing that was so noticeable, and always is in Tallaght, but particularly on Tuesday night, was the amount of people there from mixed backgrounds. The amount of different accents that were Polish people, people from Africa, you name it, were there supporting Shamrock Rovers. That actually the local community, it seems, are getting behind Shamrock Rovers.
I was Dave McWilliams actually commented on that before I mentioned it, so it was obviously something that struck him as well. I was very proud to say, to see that the other night, and I did tweet afterwards about the mixed race players on the pitch in terms of Mandreu, who was absolutely outstanding. Last night I was in Dalymount to watch Waterford, Zach Albuzetti on the wing. You're talking about Michael Duffy. If anyone had seen Zach Albuzetti last night, they wouldn't be talking about Michael Duffy. He was absolutely outrageously good in the left wing, and there was a survey done. I think we have the highest rate of correspondents who think that people who've come to this country, immigrants, have made a positive effect. I think it's something like 80%. It's the highest in the EU, and I think we have a lot of work to do in terms of integrating newcomers into the Irish way of life maybe, but I'm very proud to see the amount of mixed race kids playing. Basically every League of Ireland underage team will have a mixed race kid. That's every team, so that's about 80 teams of that, and it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, but I think also in terms of support, and it is another untapped area, that you see when Poland play Ireland in the Aviva in Croke Park, like the amount of people living here who are passionate football fans, who again they're football fans whose mindset is that you just go to football every week, every 2 weeks.
They might support Legia Warsaw or Lech Poznan, but they just like football.
They just like going to football, and you see that when Legia have come here a couple of times. So in reality, like, these should be an easy market to try and tap into, and we've struggled to even get there. But
it's a cliche, like it is like we may come from different backgrounds, whatever, but it is a universal game. But I often think League of Ireland clubs should have one game a season where if you have a foreign passport, you get in for free, and just introduce them to
I think Rovers did a Polish night recently, didn't they, for the UCD game, I think it was. And I think
a lot of the clubs, Rovers and a lot of the clubs around Dublin, do very good things with the direct provision centres as well, where they provide buses to bring people to the game.
Yeah, so
there was actually a lovely story last night. I was talking to a Bows fan who spoke about Oscar Brennan. Now, Oscar Brennan was heavily involved in the Bohemian project. I think it was with Mountjoy.
The player who's now with Shelbourne.
Yeah, who's now with Shelbourne. And when Oscar Brennan, I think he left Mountjoy for the last time, because he was obviously moving on to Shelbourne or whatever. Basically, he said he got a standing ovation from all the prisoners there, who were really, really touched by the role that Oscar and the likes of Shane Supple had played in their lives and made their lives that bit easier in prisons. And I think the League of Ireland has been, Bows have done some fantastic work in the community.
Latest scores in the Premier League: 2-2 between Southampton and Bournemouth, 1-1 between Watford and Wolves, scoreless between Palace and Everton, and also still no goals between Fulham and Cardiff City. That, as we've said, is a game that Cardiff will have put down as one they desperately need to win if they're to have any chance of staying in the Premier League. In the Championship, none of the top three playing at the moment, but Sheffield United playing Ipswich at 5:15, Norwich, the leaders, taking on Blackburn at 7:30, and then tomorrow at midday it's Leeds against Aston Villa. But the latest scores in the Championship, and particularly looking at the playoff places: West Brom, who are 4th and who are guaranteed a spot in the playoffs, they're 1-0 down at home against Rotherham. Derby are in that right battle with Middlesbrough for the final playoff place, and with Bristol City, but it looks as though Bristol City are going to drop out of that, it seems, because they're 1-0 down at home against Derby, still in that game. Middlesbrough, for their part, 2-1 up now at home against Reading. They are 2-1, so they're just midway through the second half of that. Preston have gone 3-1 up against Sheffield Wednesday. Alan Brown with the third goal in that game for Preston. Scoreless, it finished between Millwall and Stoke. It's currently Birmingham 1, Wigan 1. Middlesbrough, as we said, 2-1 up against Reading. Nottingham Forest have gone 1-0 up away against Queen's Park Rangers. Swansea lead Hull by 1-0, and it is West Brom 0, Rotherham 1. The game between Bolton and Brentford was postponed, which is one of the main stories, if not the biggest story out of the Championship. The Bolton players have essentially gone on strike. Bolton have been relegated down to League One. They're not getting paid. It's an absolute shambles what's been going on behind the scenes. And the EFL have told Bolton, you got to play these games. Stick out the kids. Whatever happens, we don't care if your players are going on strike.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. And I mean, it's the type of story that if it happened here, it would be a stick to beat the league, and deservedly so if you're in that scenario. So that it would happen at Championship level with the wealth, the riches, the depth of support that exists. But the story at Bolton this year, I'm not going to claim to have followed it very closely, but I know it's a murky one. And even I think the local reporter there who covered it extensively, I think he was barred at one point. And there certainly seems to be massive issues over how that club has been run. And it is, man, because we talk here about talk often about the English football culture and how amazing it is through the 4 divisions, the supporter culture that exists, and it seems remarkable. Whatever about what might happen here in terms of negligence, when a club can come into the hands of a small number of people and maybe the fan base isn't big and things can happen, but for a club of that size, as a Premier League club in recent memory, to be in that position. It's sad.
Oldham as well, an absolute basket case for club at the moment too.
There's quite a few of them. I mean, but that story now.
Well, there's so much money swirling around English football that it's inviting in people who think they can make a quick buck. Absolutely. If you can get into the Premier League, but it's so hard to get into the Premier League.
I think it's the Accrington chairman who spoke recently about the amount of clubs that are losing money throughout the football leagues to chase the dream. And Bolton obviously have been. They've been a poor Championship team for a while. They've gone down. They're in that sort of zone that they're bouncing up and down. But it's sort of precarious stuff. They're a bit lucky that Bolton's games are against teams that are like Brentford are sort of mid-table as such. I mean, if this had been a game against a Leeds or a Sheffield United today, that would have been an absolutely massive story. And
their final games against Forest. So again,
Forest, who are out of it. So they're slightly lucky in the sense of the games, but the story itself. How's Sunderland and Portsmouth going?
Well, I was just going to say, James Collins has scored his 25th league goal of the season for Luton in League One. It's Burton 1, Luton 1. Luton on the brink of a return to the Championship. James Collins was on Off the Ball during the week with Richie, if you want to listen back to that on offtheball.com. It is still 1-1 between Sunderland and Portsmouth. So as it stands, as we said, Luton 1-1 away against Burton. Barnsley are 2-1 up against Blackpool. So how it stands at the top of League One is Luton are on 92 points. Barnsley are on 91. Portsmouth will be on 87 and Sunderland on 85. But both of those have a game in hand. But one of them, you feel, really needs to win that game to have any chance of putting pressure on Barnsley or Luton. Yeah,
so Sunderland have really... Sunderland went 1-0 up in the 87th minute last week and still didn't win. But I mean, Portsmouth and Sunderland played... We talked about the strength of football. Portsmouth and Sunderland played in that Football League trophy recently, and 85,000 people at the game. There's every chance those two could end up in the playoff final again, which would be a sort of an extraordinary occasion. And obviously, Ronan Curtis and Aidan Nagidi would be two people very much involved in that.
Ross Campbell on Twitter was at Dailymount last night. Have been all season after following Bows from a distance. I'm from Belfast originally. 2 English lads in front of me. Austrian lads a few rows back and some Middle Eastern lads as well, all surrounded by Phibsborough natives, League of Ireland capturing many. Let's talk a bit about the League of Ireland then, because the big game, I know you were at Dalymount last night, but the big game was up at Oriel Park where Dundalk beat Shamrock Rovers 2-1, back within 4 points and the game in hand. A far cry from just a fortnight ago, some would say. Been a difficult week obviously for Rovers after the defeat as well against the Dublin derby against Bohemians. Our reporter Enda Call caught up with the Rovers manager Stephen Bradley.
Stephen, that's 2 losses in a row. It must not have been the result you wanted here.
No, of course not. Compared to win, and we didn't.
It was a bit of a makeshift line-out. You had young Furlong, his debut, and you had Ronan Finn at right back. That was obviously injury forced, was it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we had a few suspensions and a few injuries. So I thought James was excellent at left back.
And at the start of the week, you could have went 10 points ahead. Now that lead is only 4 points at the top of the table. What do you say to the players now to get them back up to the form they were just a week ago?
To be fine. The form hasn't changed. Tuesday, it's 9 men for 60 minutes. Tonight, and for large parts of the game, they were excellent. So there's nothing wrong with the form. We just need to go again on Monday.
The nature of this league, the games come thick and fast now. You have a game against St Patrick's Athletic on Monday. How are you set injury-wise, or are there any players coming back?
We don't know. We'll see in the morning.
Short and sweet.
Wasn't quite Frost Nixon there.
I don't particularly like the way he's answered that. I don't know. We'll see in the morning. And there's only trying to do his job. I know they were frustrated, but I think Stephen's been really, really good with the media this season. I think he's shown a maturity that maybe wasn't there before. I'd slightly revise my opinion after listening to that.
Well, it's one interview, it's one night, it's one difficult week.
Yeah.
That maturity, that character now needs to be shown over these couple of days in particular. They Pats at home on Monday night.
Look at all sort of slagging aside. Rovers are contenders this year, and they haven't been in recent years. But this is the challenge for them now. Ability-wise, they look to have it. They definitely have the attributes to really challenge. They probably need to strengthen in certain areas. But you can't sort of substitute experience sometimes when it comes to this. And you look around the Dundalk pitch, the Dundalk team last night, and you've got players who've won, more than one league medal in a number of positions. And this Rovers team, you have Ronan Finn there, you do have Alan Mannis, you have Joey O'Brien, you do have experience, but there's also a core of very talented players who've never won a league before. And this is now back-to-back defeats, and Monday is a massive game for them because Pats have got a couple of wins together, and it's over time, Rovers were keeping the ball well. They've got great midfield talent, but it's natural that teams maybe have an idea then of how to play against you, and then you have to evolve a small bit from that.
Their midfield was lost last night. These talented midfield players were totally out-battled.
Well, Bowes did a very good job against them.
Well, I and other people had a different opinion of what had happened in that Bowes game. Obviously, it's hard to analyse because of the 2 sendings off, but it certainly seemed from where I was sitting that Jack Byrne for the first 10-12 minutes was running the show, and then Bowes sort of figured out how to stop them getting the ball to Jack Byrne, even before, in the 10 minutes before the sendings off, and negated his influence. Was that a similar situation last night?
Bit of that, Jack Byrne ran the first 20 minutes, they were good, I have to say. They were really, and Byrne was the standout player in the park, and that, as I said, that pitch isn't always the easiest pitch in the world to play on, but he was still comfortable. He was taking up spaces everywhere, and what Dundalk had was Shields and Patrick McElhenney maybe playing a bit deeper than he might have spent a lot of his career, and Byrne kept finding space behind them, but Dundalk just seemed then to they sharpened up in all areas and kept Byrne quiet and actually flipped the game and put the pressure on Rovers. So that's what's going to happen. Byrne will be targeted by teams. There will be a sense of, if you can stop him playing, you stop Rovers. Now, the strength they've had in other weeks have been, even in games where he's been quiet, they have other quality players to pull them through. But the 2 centre halves are splitting from the kick-outs. They're trying to take the ball from Mannis. You saw that the other day. There may be times where they have to go a bit more direct and mix things up a bit, because teams are it's not quite they're going to figure them out, but they're going to figure out how to frustrate them. And the one thing you would say is they don't look like a team that's going to be prolific in terms of scoring goals.
Yeah, a bit blunt up front.
The first goal in Rovers matches is damn important.
Yeah, it's a bit like Man City in that regard, but the loss of Greg Bulger has been really, really keenly felt. I remember the first game in Watford, he didn't start, and they went with McAniff and Watts as the sitting midfielders, which I thought was amazing. They won that game. McAniff's had a very good season, but Bulger was badly missed against Mandreo on Tuesday night. Mandreo had a very good game.
And last night.
And last night, when they really needed, somebody to get on the ball, and like McAniff had a poor game. There was a moment, Vojic was one positive, he scored. He had a spin-off run.
An Austrian striker.
An Austrian striker of, I think he's kind of... He's an interesting background, actually, Vojic. But anyway, he scored, but with about 5 minutes left, McAniff picked up the ball outside the box. Vojic spun off between two defenders. It was a simple pass through from McAniff, never looked, and played a harmless pass across the pitch. So the positive was Vojic coming on scoring, but playing Dan Carr instead of Aaron Green on the left wing, I thought that was a bit of a gamble, because you've the Dundalk strength of Gannon down the right with obviously Dan Kelly. Gannon's probably he's the best right back in the league. He was absolutely outstanding last night. They had a 16-year-old kid making his debut, and Dan Carr is the defensive cover, and I think in hindsight maybe they would have felt that they could have put Dan Carr up front and played Aaron Green on the left.
Dan Kelly is the skinniest footballer I think I've ever seen, but he seems to have found his feet over the last few weeks.
Dan Kelly's story is really breaks the mould. I mean, he was playing amateur football 2 years ago basically, and even go back another 2 years when he would have been sort of 17, 18, 19, he wasn't even necessarily getting his game with Crumlin United, and I think he went to play with Pat CY. He's from Ringsend, and he went to Bows from Bray midway through last season. Was a revelation there. Actually, you mentioned Bolton. He spent time in Bolton over the winter.
Looked like he was going to sign there.
Oh yeah, and there was a sort of a strange episode when you think about it. But he's got to Dundalk and he's been excellent. Generally players go to Dundalk, it takes them a while to settle in, but he's actually been important. Pat Hooban last night, we should mention, became their all-time league goal scorer in the 70
fine
goals.
Game as well.
70 goals now, league the most goals of a player in Dundalk history.
For a club of Dundalk's history and stature, it's incredible that 69 goals was the record.
Yeah, Joey Donnelly, the record dates back to a guy who played through basically the 30s, into the 40s, and might even have played as a sort of an inside left for a period of time. So yeah, Dundalk have won a lot of leagues, but they maybe, I suppose the League of Ireland players move a lot from
you lose your best striker.
But Hooban's done that in the space of 3.5 seasons. It's and I mean, I know he maybe hasn't been at the level this season that he was last season, but last night you could see he was much more back to himself.
And another point, Dundalk, like McElhenney, he's literally just coming back, and there were flashes of it last night, but once he starts to play, and you look at the players,
you should have thought of that, John.
But
that's like the mentality of a title race is always interesting, and from chatting to a couple of Dundalk players over the last few weeks, it was noticeable how calm they were in spite of some of the comments that they felt.
Been there before.
That's what I mean, that they were saying it's very early, we've players coming back, we've players playing out of position, that we've a game in hand, we have to play Rovers.
They lost to Sligo, and that was worrying, and then they nearly drew against Bows, and I think I got the sense the players were getting a little bit worried if they hadn't beaten Bows, but just 1 point in the game last night. I mean, Oriel Park is not a nice ground at all to go to watch a game. It's completely dilapidated. A town of 35,000 people, 4,000 at that game. People don't really appreciate how much pockets of Ireland are proper football towns like Sligo and Dundalk. Dundalk have Sligo have 2,000 at their games, maybe 20,000 in the town, and 4,000 for a town of that size was a great crowd, and there's such a buzz about. Like, if you go to Dundalk, you really appreciate how much the club means to them, and they got great satisfaction out of the last.
You made that point on Thursday, actually. And as well as that, it's not one-offs. It doesn't depend on the opposition that they're getting.
The crowds have actually been more
consistent.
The crowds have been more consistent this year than they were in actually some of the recent seasons, for some reason. So I think maybe it's a generational thing. The one thing I would say about Dundalk again, that, I mean, 2 years ago, Cork won 22 out of 23 games, or 21 out of 22, an amazing run. So I mean, it was all about them really, but the Dundalk left themselves far behind, and you sensed that later in the season they regretted it. I think they probably did know that if that 10-11 point gap stayed, they were in trouble. So they were under pressure, but now that they have delivered, they are within touching distance, and you just think that experience probably will come through now.
Couple of goals gone in the Premier League. Another one at St Mary's, a cracker between Southampton and Bournemouth. Peter Hood.
Southampton 3, Bournemouth 2. A third Southampton goal means that they lead for the second time in the game, across to the far post, and it was headed in by Matt Targett to give them the lead. It's Southampton 3, Bournemouth 2.
Also a goal at Vicarage Road, Watford against Wolves. Last we heard it was 1-1. Joe Rawson.
It's Watford 1, Wolves 2. Wolves have nudged themselves in front in this game for a second time. The goal came from a cross from this near side by Matt Doherty. It was played in behind the Watford defenders. Ben Foster came out into no man's land, didn't get any touch on the ball, and Diogo Jota was there to take advantage. He just tapped it into an open goal, his 10th goal of the season. And it's a big goal for Wolves in the fight for 7th place in the Premier League. It's Watford 0, Wolves 2.
Joe, where did the C come from?
Who's that, Joe?
Joe Rawson.
I mean, he should know. His second name isn't the most straightforward name.
Rawson.
Rawson.
What sort of...
You pronounced it in a slightly funny way there. Sorry.
Rawson.
You gave it a...
Rawson.
Any way you can mangle his name as a
That's
tribute.
what I was attempting to do, as a tribute to Matt Doherty.
Let's go to Joe Rawson.
Nathan, I have to say, I thought you absolutely excelled yourself. You know, you've given me abuse for the last hour and a half, but I thought your poll during the week, like which player, whatever, was more undeserving of being left out of the team, and you named 3 players, and then Matt Doherty in cap locks. I thought that was very, very funny, I have to say.
Well, he got 60% of the vote
when he was in cap locks.
More people thought he was more harshly...
Caps lock, I think it is, yeah.
But cap locks. Caps locked.
Doherty?
Anyway.
Was he hard done by?
He was probably unfortunate.
I always had a feeling, because I was looking at...
A lot of Liverpool fans.
I don't want to mention my Virgil van Dijk 22-1 to be Player of the Year back at the end of December, but I had it quite recently looked, and Matt Doherty was the overwhelming favourite to be in that Team of the Year in the right back slot.
Did they not
part of me was just thinking that, like, Trent Alexander-Arnold's had a good season. Like,
did they not play 4 at the back?
The amount of assists.
Did they not play 4 at the back?
Well, they do.
They did. That was the problem.
And also, he's on TV every single week. We obviously notice every single decent thing Matt Doherty does. You know, do they in England notice every decent thing that Matt Doherty does?
I see during the week.
Maybe that's where the confusion is.
I see during
Maybe the spelling was wrong on the sheet.
That was it.
They put a C. No, we should investigate this. So they're spelling him. Premier League footballers. Let's remember who we're dealing with here. They spelled it Dockerty, and therefore a load of his votes were disqualified.
It could have been
technicalities. Spoiled vote.
It was an audio form, and they were given options. They were like,
now I am suggesting they can spell Trent Alexander-Arnold easier than
probably can. Yeah. Well, the one thing you wonder, is it the green tinted thing to some degree? That I saw during the week, like the Midlands football writers had their awards, like Player of the Year, and like Raul Jimenez won it. Now I know, I mean, he's had an excellent season, and I mean, he's never going to be in contention as a striker for the PFA team. But I would have thought Doherty, even if you're having a discussion about him being in the PFA Team of the Year, he should have been seen as Wolves player or the Midlands player of the season.
Yeah.
And the fact that maybe he's not, maybe we are a small bit.
Let's go to the Amex Stadium. Harry Maynard is there because the late game is Brighton against Newcastle. As it stands, with Fulham 0, Cardiff 0, the latest from Craven Cottage, Brighton will be 2 points clear of Cardiff with a game in hand. Is this one of those situations from the old days, Harry? All the Brighton fans sitting around with their transistor radio.
What a goal!
Fulham
what a goal! Ryan
Babel.
What a
celebrations there, Harry, because Fulham, Ryan Babel has smacked one in from 25 yards.
Just as you come to me, perfect timing. There are cheers and everyone's sort of in the room, as you can hear it going from the left to the stadium over to the right. Obviously the stadium's not quite full yet, the players haven't even come out for their warm-up, but there was definitely a cheer as you came across, so that has definitely been well received down here on the south coast. Nevertheless, it doesn't take anything away from what a huge game this is for the Seagulls this afternoon. If Cardiff do go on to lose now and Brighton can turn this game into a win, they are all but safe, because of really they've got the positive goal difference, which basically works out as an extra point. So yeah, a massive goal that's been well received down here.
I'd imagine so. Give us the team news then.
The team news then. Chris Hughton, he has made changes, of course. Brighton fresh off the back of a last minute defeat to Spurs in the week. They make 4 changes. Ryan stays in goal. Bernardo, Duffy, Dunkman, Toya, he goes out. Bruno comes in to make up the back 4. Gross, Kayal, Stevens in the middle. Izquierdo comes in, Murray comes in, and Andone keeps his place. For Newcastle, 3 changes for them. Dubrovka, Manquillo, Shaw, Fernandez is one of the changes. Dummett, Ritchie, Perez is in the team. Shelby makes the second change. He comes in for Key. Hayden. Almiron went off injured, so Atsu comes in to replace him. And then Solomon Rondon leads the line for the visitors. Here at the Amex, it's Brighton versus Newcastle.
All right, thanks a lot for that, Harry. Enjoy the game. It was, I'm going to describe it, a rampaging run by the outstanding Cyrus Christie. Brought it to the edge of the area, realised he couldn't go any further, laid it back to Ryan Babel, 25 yards out, first time, right-footed, smacked it.
It's the way you're kind of curling the ball, like, but you're going to the complete opposite corner. Oh, it's just
very nearly an equaliser. What a save!
You mentioned Doherty though. It'll be very interesting to see if he starts in Denmark. If he does go for that, put him on the right, playing with Coleman. We're going to be under the cosh a bit, but we do want to offer something sort of defensively as well on that right hand side. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Mick does with Doherty.
So that a huge goal. Fulham 1, Cardiff 0. Scoreless between Palace and Everton. Southampton lead Bournemouth 3-2, and Wolves 2-1 up away against Watford. It finished Spurs 0, West Ham 1 in the early game. We'll take a quick break.
Off the ball on News Talk. News Talk Breakfast.
I put on a stone when I started the breakfast show. They call it the breakfast stone here. Like, hey, can I look forward to losing a bit of weight if I start eating vegetarian?
Not really, no. I think I think it's a mistake to confuse vegetarian food with dieting. And ultimately, a motivation right through the week can be that you're making a massive contribution to saving the planet.
Yeah, that was why the challenge was put there.
And if you stick with it to any extent afterwards, you're still making a contribution.
News Talk Breakfast with Shane Coleman and Kieran Cuddihy. Weekday mornings at 7.
In association with AIR.
On News Talk.
Have a great afternoon with Harvey Norman, the #1 in Ireland for beds, mattresses and bedroom furniture.
Go, Harvey, go!
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index, reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
Run for a laugh with your work colleagues in the Phoenix Park, Wednesday 22nd and Thursday 23rd of May at the Staff Relay Series with PwC. The Staff Relay Series with PwC is Ireland's biggest relay event and staff night out. Due to exceptional demand, a second night has been added. 5 people per team, 5 kilometres per relay leg, 5-star entertainment. Register your team at staffrelayseries.com.
Life is for living, so embrace that Irish spirit of adventure. At FBD, we're here to protect you. If you have a home policy with us, we'll give you a 10% discount on your car insurance. For a quote, call 017 617 617 or visit fbd.ie. FBD Insurance. Protection. It's in our nature. 10% car discount available with an existing FBD home policy. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Underwritten by FBD Insurance plc. FBD Insurance Group Limited Trading as FBD Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Whatever's on your list, come in and see how much you can save at Lidl. Check out our €3 for €9 mix and match meats like fresh Irish Angus beef mince steak, Inishvale Irish strip loin steak and Inishvale Irish diced stewing beef. And check out our big brand super savers like Muller Light Greek style yogurt, only $1.89, and Alpro unsweetened almond milk, just $1.59. Lidl, more for you.
What's yellow and blue and got room for you? You Store It. You Store It is Ireland's best and most trusted self-storage provider. And with custom-built storage facilities throughout Ireland, you're bound to be close to a You Store It. With 24-hour access 7 days a week. Visit our website, check out our 5-star reviews and book today for home or business storage. What's yellow and blue and got room for you? You Store It. Visit youstore.ie.
It's time your business got well connected. Switch to Welltel for better voice, fibre, unified communications and contact centre solutions. Grow your business supported by ours. Visit welltelgroup.com.
When you're working hard, having the best conference and office furniture means everyone gets the best out of the day. At AJ Products, you'll find an extensive choice of office and conference products with great package deals. Your staff will love our standing desks, conference tables and chairs, archive shelving, storage solutions, and our wide range of office chairs, whiteboards, notice boards and cabinets. There's surprisingly more for your office and conferencing at AJ Products. So for the best products and the best value, ask AJ. AJProducts.ie. Surprisingly more.
Kieran, get out of the shower. That hot water
doesn't pay for itself.
Imagine someone that actually does what you ask.
Alexa, ask Climote to cancel Boost.
Switch to SSE Airtricity for a free smart home bundle, including 2 Amazon Echo devices and a Climote heating control, plus 10% off your electricity. For more, go to sseairtricity.com. This is a great deal. This is Generation Green. Estimated annual bill €1,030.47. Offer from October 5th, 2018, subject to availability. 1-year standard unit rate discount for new home electricity customers on direct debit and e-bill. Rates valid from 3rd of December 2018, subject to change. For details, terms and conditions, rates, EAB, exit fees, standing charges, see sseairtricity.com.
We can't live with the cost of it, but the country can't live without it. In this week's Sunday Independent, can we afford the National Broadband Scheme? And what the government really thinks. Plus, what's really driving up the value of your home? And a free Game of Thrones DVD for every reader at Tesco. The Sunday Independent, the complete read. T's and C's apply.
Take steps to improve the energy efficiency of your home. Generate as much as 80% of your electricity requirements with solar PV panels from Energlaze. SEAI grants of up to €3,800 also available. Every upgrade you make makes a difference.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
All right, you're welcome back. Another goal at St Mary's. Southampton Bournemouth. Let's hear about it from Peter Hood.
Southampton 3, Bournemouth 3. As we break off here, there's a real chance to win it for Bournemouth, but it's saved by the keeper. And Bournemouth, who've just equalised, it was Wilson who was through on goal there, denied by the keeper, but it was his equaliser that's made it. Southampton 3, Bournemouth 3.
Yeah, what a game. Callum Wilson, 2 for him, onto 15 for the season. Southampton 3, Bournemouth 3, a point. Even a point will be enough for Southampton to be safe, because as it stands, Cardiff are 1-0 down away at Fulham. There's still 5 minutes left in that game. It would mean Cardiff remain 3 points behind Brighton. Having played a game more, they would be 7 behind Southampton. So Southampton will be safe as it stands. Cardiff also have a far inferior goal difference to Brighton, a difference of 14. So essentially they're a further point behind. So this, you would feel, is probably it for Cardiff.
It's in terms of Liverpool fans maybe feeling that things are going against them the last few weeks, this is another.
Just to let you know that the Punchestown Festival gets underway next Tuesday, runs till this day next week, with the Close Brothers Commercial Finance Mayor's Listed Novice Hurdle taking place on Thursday. We have a daily prize of 1 pair of tickets for entry to the reserved enclosure at the racecourse, and all our daily winners will go into the draw that we're going to make just before 6 o'clock this evening for the overall prize, which will be admission and reserved enclosure for 2 people on Thursday, hospitality lunch in the Watch House Panoramic Restaurant, where you'll be given loads of tips for the day's races, and then we'll shuttle you back to the Louis Fitzgerald Hotel, where you'll enjoy bed, breakfast and evening meal. So that, we'll announce that winner at 6 o'clock. The question though for the daily prize: who was the last horse to win the Punchestown Gold Cup and Cheltenham Gold Cup in the same year?
Size of John.
Horse racing expert Dan McDonnell.
I didn't
right in there.
Didn't know we were supposed to answer. I thought it was like a.
No, he turned to us as if to say.
I turned to you as if it's done.
We spoke about him the other night.
Oh, Cardiff hit the crossbar. And then it bounces on the line and comes out. What a chance. Anyways, it was Sizing John. You could give the answer. Congrats to Jim Hamilton in Ennis in County Clare, who also knew that.
A lovely moment last night in Daily Mount where 4 lads from Finglas came up and said, we really loved the off-the-ball Friday night racing show, which I thought was very nice. So you wouldn't expect that at Bowes, but they were all big racing fans.
Why wouldn't you expect that at Bowes?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you would. Maybe you would. Anyway, they love...
Say anything about Saturday afternoons?
No, never mention it.
That's fine. That's
yeah.
fair enough.
So we had obviously Siding John's rider Robbie Power along with Ruby Walsh this week, so good fun.
Jim Hamilton and Ennis, so you're a daily winner. You get those reserved enclosure entry tickets and you're in the draw for the big prize. We'll announce that just before 6 o'clock. Hi lads, I'm a massive rugby fan, go to lots of games, and there is not a big stream to the bar at every match. It may have happened at the Ireland-England game, but the vast majority of games people go to their seats and support their team, says Connor.
Not what I've experienced in my anecdotal experience of one game.
Yeah, but it's
rugby man.
It's a big earner though for the rugby, and it's a loss in terms of the League of Ireland that you can't bring out a beer. Like it's actually a lot of money lost from League of Ireland clubs because you're not alled to watch the game.
Why
with a
can't
beer.
you bring out a beer?
Because
why can't you have it in a plastic glass?
They obviously think you could still throw it at somebody. Now
lose your mind.
Yeah, well, you're a League of Ireland fan. You're obviously scum. Do you know?
Aidan from Roscommon at the Shells match against Galway. A few non-nationals across from me at the game. Even heard a Donegal accent behind me.
That reminds me of
Good to see the
priest
mix.
and Father Ted, yeah.
Improve the facilities around the grounds and it'll get even better, fingers crossed. Bit surprised Tolka isn't getting a bit of a refurb for the UEFA under-17s. FAI should have given them a few quid.
It's a shame to say Tolka's in because a ground with an unbelievably good atmosphere on its day, and it is sad to see this. But it's one of the things, Nathan. The legacy of the FAI and so forth. We still have so many grounds in this country that are miles behind. For example, I said to Dave McWilliams, I'd advise you go to that game in Tala. I certainly wouldn't be advising go to a game in Oriel.
No, it'd be a challenge.
No, Tala's the perfect ground to go to.
Yeah, Tala can be quite soulless when there aren't many people there, but
that probably won't happen too often now because obviously Rovers are going well.
Yeah, last Tuesday night was probably about as good as it gets in terms of promoting the League of Ireland.
I'm from Tipperary. Who am I supposed to support in the League of Ireland? I'm a massive sports fan. I support Munster in rugby and Tipperary in GAA. No team from most of Munster in the League of Ireland.
Thurles Town obviously played in the League of Ireland, and that's a big problem we have.
I don't know how you solve that because I'm guessing I suppose if you can embrace the Munster thing.
Why can't you support Limerick or Cork?
But if they're your rivals in a tip hurling sense, can you suddenly put on the colours and join?
I supported Galway United.
No, you're fair play to you. Yeah, I mean you've definitely shown it can be done. But I'm
an example to everybody.
Pull on the maroon and
I used to have my Galway United jersey.
And would you? I don't know what would Galway fans sing when they win something. With Benny Galway.
What the hell has just happened?
What are we saying?
What are we supposed to do now?
Well, we've gone from hypothesis to hypothetical here anyway.
They sang a Beatles hit which was just released at the time.
No, but clubs I think should be incentivised to try to join the League of Ireland in some shape or form. And if we did have a league where there was actually prize money and incentives to play in it, maybe it would happen. But it's an economic basket case for the likes of, say, Tralee Dynamos or someone in Port Leash.
The problem is, John, if you bring a new club into the league, they have to come into the first division, and there's no glamour in that at all. I mean, Wexford came into it, and I know they got up, but it's actually hard. I think that's unfair. I think that's harsh. There's people who probably would like to get into it, and they can't find that route into it, and it's true. I don't know who you support.
The Fulham Cardiff game is a proper end of season relegation dogfight.
Proper going for Cardiff.
Hit the crossbar where he really should have scored. About 10 yards out, side-footed it off the crossbar, down off the line, bounced out. Keeper's just made two brilliant saves from close range from Fulham, who continue to lead Cardiff by a goal-0. Even a point for Cardiff would make a huge difference because it would mean possibly if Brighton lose all their games, a win would be enough for them.
Give them a chance. I should mention as well, while we mentioned hurling there, and as a crossover of sports, Barry Murphy, who's managing Rochdale now in League One. Because I did a piece with Graham Cockton at Bristol Rovers, who was the only Republic-born manager in the 4 divisions. Barry Murphy is there now at Rochdale. They're winning today to stay up in League One.
And they've done a ridiculous run since he took over.
He's done really well. I mean, they're pretty much safe anyway, regardless whether they win today. We mentioned Luton earlier, who've now lost from 1-0 up to Burton. So League One looks like it could go right to the last game with 4 teams potentially in the shake-up to go.
Yeah, still 1-1 in that game between Sunderland and Portsmouth. That's gone full time. That lady that supports Leinster, who doesn't know the difference between a ruck and a maul, proves that the League of Ireland doesn't have a big enough fan base. The only way to increase this is to develop an affinity between the team and the support. We've at least 5 teams in Dublin and only the diehard knows who to support. Amalgamate and create a Dublin United and a Dublin City and everything changes.
Yeah.
By the way, a maul is when both teams fight for the ball when it's off the ground. A ruck is when the ball is on the ground, says Carl Castle.
John called that.
Carl explained that a little bit better than I did.
You were all over it.
We tried the Dublin City thing. A manufactured Dublin brand won't work. It just won't work at all.
Dublin United out of Dalymount Park. No. The refurbished Dalymount Park, and Dublin City out of Tallaght Stadium.
No, because there's actually good history in the clubs there. They just need to strengthen it and
do you want Hibs and Hearts to amalgamate?
Build a brand. The Shamrock Rovers is a massively strong brand. That doesn't need to be tweaked at all.
I think the point the tweeter is probably making as well is that, as you're saying, people will go to watch Leinster, maybe not overly knowing the rules, maybe not overly knowing what's at stake, 100%. But they'll go because it's a good day out, because you can get a drink at the bar. Like last Sunday was a glorious Easter Sunday, sun is shining, 20 degrees, you're looking for something to do, you go to the Aviva, you can have a couple of drinks, you watch an entertaining game that means something.
Does everyone who goes to the greyhounds or the dogs, greyhounds or the horses know the form or understand what everything on the card means?
I say it's cycling, Jess, but the League of Ireland does need to challenge. It needs to get a lot more women at games as well, who basically, I think it's improving in that regard, but it's seriously male dominated in terms of crowd, and I think women's football in this country is definitely untapped potential in terms of support as well.
Another absolutely brilliant chance for Cardiff. How they haven't scored in the last 5 minutes, I'm not sure. Still remain 1-0 down. It was one of the centre backs who went up for the chance. Ball came in, 10 yards out, free header, either side of the keeper, and it's a goal, and he heads it straight at the Fulham goalkeeper, and it looks as though Cardiff are going to be beaten. Let's get the full times from those games that have finished, starting at Selhurst Park. Palace against Everton. Andrew Cheal.
Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0. Everton created all the best chances but couldn't put even one away. Richarlison should have had a penalty when he was tripped by Van Aanholt. Bernard hit the outside of the post with a cracking left footer, and Tosin with a clever back heel brought an outstanding one-handed save from Palace keeper Gayata. All that plus some half chances to Everton. Meanwhile, Palace failed to work the keeper at all. Zaha ran his heart out but didn't get enough support up front. Palace 0, Everton 0.
And 9 points from their home games against Chelsea, Arsenal and Manchester United, but just 1 from their trips to Fulham and Crystal Palace over the past couple of weeks for Everton. So scoreless draw there. Let's see how it finished up at Vicarage Road. Watford against Wolves. Joe Ralston.
Full-time Watford 1, Wolves 2. This a hugely significant win for Nuno Espirito Santo's side in the battle to finish 7th in the Premier League, and on balance a victory they just about deserved. Raul Jimenez's 13th league goal of the campaign nudged them in front just before the break as he headed in a Jota cross. Watford were gifted an equaliser straight after the restart. Ryan Bennett caught in possession by Gerard Deulofeu. His initial shot was saved, but Andre Gray fired in the rebound. But Wolves won it with 12 minutes left to play. This time Ben Foster was the man guilty of making a mistake. He came and got nowhere near Ruben Neves' deep ball, and Diogo Jota took advantage to score his 10th of the season by slotting the ball into an empty net. So maybe a crumb of comfort for Wolves after their FA Cup semi-final defeat a couple of weeks ago. It's finished. Watford 1, Wolves 2.
And that puts Wolves in a great position to finish 7th. They are 4 points clear of Everton and Watford with just 2 games remaining. Quite a game at St Mary's. Southampton against Bournemouth. Let's get the full time from Peter Hood.
Southampton 3, Bournemouth 3. What a game. It all started in the first 12 minutes, or 20 minutes if you want to call it that way, because Shane Long gave the home side the lead, but Southampton were pegged back by 2 first half goals from Gosling and Wilson before restoring the lead in the second half through Ward-Prowse and then a Matt Targett header. But Callum Wilson equalised late on to save the game for Bournemouth. Southampton 3, Bournemouth 3.
Yeah, and that means Southampton are safe because Cardiff have been beaten 1-0 away at Fulham. It was a heck of a goal from Ryan Babel, but it means that Cardiff, at this stage, it feels like they're going to need a miracle. They remain 3 points behind Brighton. They've played a game more. They have a far inferior goal difference. They had chance after chance in that final 10 minutes to get even what would have been a crucial point, and it feels as though Neil Warnock's side have absolutely blown it. Brighton take on Newcastle in the late game. That one gets underway in half an hour. Earlier, Spurs' hopes of finishing in the top 4 suffered a setback. They were beaten 1-0 at home by West Ham United. We will have a huge game, 2 huge games on tomorrow's Off the Ball. Burnley against Manchester City at 2:05. Myself and Stephen Elliott will be at that one at Turf Moor. And then at 4:30, it's Manchester United against Chelsea. Brian Kerr and Dave will be at Old Trafford. Couple of texts just before we finish up with the lads. Jack Murray on Twitter: last week I was at a league match in the Faroe Islands. There was about 500 people there, and the stadium and the facilities were amazing.
Yeah, they know how to do things in Scandinavia. We were over in Iceland and there was a 2-hour show about kind of highlight show, and the facilities the club of FH had even, and the money that they put into the game in Iceland. And there's a famous story, obviously, the money that went in when they went to the Euros. Didn't happen in Ireland.
In contrast, Callum from Sutton was at Pat's last night. Looking at the state of the seats and other facilities made me think just how far behind Pat's will be in Dublin after Dalymount is done.
That is an issue. That there's no doubt that Pats need to find their home or their identity or their place, because there is a danger of this north side south side split in terms of like Bows and Rovers being very clearly defined. I mean, Pats still have a huge West Dublin area there that, I mean, population wise there's a strong case for it, but obviously their stadium plans are probably doomed, so they need to find another solution.
Michael Gearan has tweeted us: Cork City have a huge following from Kerry, and if the Kerry people can follow City, I'm sure the Tip lads can manage it as well.
We should. I don't know how we didn't mention Cork City in the show. Their decline this season has been absolutely astonishing, and I'm genuinely amazed that the current management team is still there, because at the moment they're more likely to get relegated than finish fourth.
Is there pressure on? Well, obviously there's pressure on, but I
think it's probably getting to the real pressure stage now. They're home to Finn Harps on Monday. If they don't win that, I mean, you're into a whole new level of...
Do you not have to look at the Cork board and say, actually, they're standing by their man who's brought them a league title, who brought them a double,
I think
that you give them time?
I think the slight potentially problem for John Caulfield is that board actually changed over the winter. It's obviously it's the Forest, it's the fan-run club, but there was a rotational period, and it's a new rotation now, and I think... maybe some people on the board before, I don't think they probably would have been open to change. I think maybe things might be slightly different, so I think that there probably is pressure now, yeah.
He's done a tremendous job at Cork, but I think there were signs last season that things were going badly downhill, and Dan's on about Shamrock Rovers being a big brand. Imagine being the Cork City manager and that whole county behind you.
150,000 people.
150,000 and the rest, and even the Kerry man that is owned, but you could have so much potential.
Own's a Bulls fan.
If they started to actually play a bit.
Will Owen be a hero when he eventually returns to Dalymount now that he's a international hipster superstar?
No.
150,000 people here.
No, just a brief 2-minute viral hit is nothing. No, it's no poetry in that. So I wouldn't quite...
He's done his bit to promote off the ball unwittingly anyway.
Certainly unwittingly, I think. I think he's done his bit to promote himself.
Yeah, more so himself, to be honest.
This could be his big break.
Delighted.
All right, thanks as always for coming in, lads. We'll talk to you next Saturday. It'll be the penultimate weekend of the Premier League season. We'll run you down through all the full times. We'll go round the grounds in the next hour. And we'll hear from Paul McGinley as well. We'll get his thoughts on the Irish Open, which he's hosting at Lahinch, on Tiger Woods' win at the Masters, and Rory McIlroy's form as well. That's all coming up next.
150,000 people here.
Join the conversation. Text us on 53106. Texts cost 30 cents.
It's your final chance to save this weekend on the new Harvey Norman Home Collection, with something for every room in the house, like sofas from only $389, dining tables from as little as $145, luxury fabric bed frames from just $379, and Irish-made mattresses from just $299. Choose styles and colours to suit your home and save with the Harvey Norman Spring Summer Home Collection.